All right, Brian Deegan is in the studio.
The checkered flag, and Deegan lets his bike fly into the air.
Think of the guys winning right now. Would they be where they're at without their support team around them? No. The Lawrences, when they said, hey, we want to break all the records, or we want to beat Motocross record, good.
So we
should.
should.
Yes, you should. And for Haiden to say, like, hey, one day I want to beat him, you have to believe that. You know, with a guy like that, great personality, still does. I really enjoyed watching his interviews when he was in the lights class. I feel like the sport, or maybe the 450 class, whatever, has turned him into more of a, he's like more serious now. I think he's the gnarliest guy I've ever seen or met as far as pushing the limits. There was a lot of moments that were like near-death moments, you know? Broke so many bones, lost organs, and I'm like, dude, hopefully I can still live a long life. I feel like I've lived 10 men's lives. I've had the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. You know, if I was to be gone tomorrow, like, don't feel bad for me, man.
This episode is brought to you by Yamaha and the all-new 2024 YZ250F. It's no secret that I've been a big fan of this 250F.
Where would you go right now if you want to win a lights championship?
Star Yamaha.
And in 2024, Yamaha has migrated their latest chassis platform to the Quarter Liter King. With the new chassis designed to give you flex in the right areas that allow for maximum feel through the turns without sacrificing stability. There's also an all-new Ergos package designed at slimming down the bike and updates to the rider triangle to improve rider comfort. The Yamaha still has that same exciting engine package that has become a modern icon in the 250 class, rocketing Star Racing to the lion's share of the last decade's titles. Combine this with Yamaha's Bluetooth connectivity for easy mapping and engine monitoring, and you have one of the best production 250s on the market today. To learn more, head to YamahaMotorsports.com or click the link in the description below.
I met a gypsy.
All right, Brian Deegan is in the studio. We haven't done one of these like in the actual studio together. They've been like remote, and then we did the one at your old place. But in town for a couple of days, and we thought might as well get on and talk some shit.
I know, right? I can't believe it. I actually had like a day off. So
yeah,
which,
very rare.
Very rare. I mean, you don't understand how rare that is. Like, it's as a man, like to have a moment, like a day where I don't have anything planned. I mean, I can't even think. I mean, years maybe.
Really, that long?
Yeah, like because with the kids and everything, it's full on, and I feel guilt too, like as a guy, like if I take days off,
yeah,
you know, I just do, like I feel like I'm wasting time, and it's very hard for me too to be away from the kids because I feel like those days are numbered.
Yeah,
it's their choice, right?
Yeah.
If they want to continue to hang out with the parents,
yeah,
right, as they get older.
Yeah,
and I think like as a kid, I couldn't wait to like. I think it wasn't leave my parent, my dad. It wasn't that. It was more like I just couldn't wait to get out of the town.
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
This freaking stupid little town, dude, that I lived in, and probably I don't know. It was just such a small-minded town, you know, and it had its pluses, but for me, what I had going in my mind, it was not the spot.
Yeah.
So anyway, my mind was like, I just can't wait. And I tasted California. I tasted Florida through Ponca City, Loretta Lynn's.
Yeah.
Tasted the personalities and people of those states.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had even been to California before the time I bailed and went there when I graduated high school, but I think about it. But I met the people from there, and I was just like, this is my people. That's my people, man.
Yeah.
And that's what Moto brought out of me, and I feel like it's very hard to explain to people that don't do moto, and most people watch your podcast probably ride dirt bikes so they can correlate with this, but I feel like it's before that I didn't know. I just knew like I wasn't content with what I was doing. I played soccer a lot, and I played sports. I tried baseball. I sucked at it. Certain things I was too small to play football, and I wrestled, and when I was younger. And but either way, that was like Nebraska core sports, and I just didn't feel like I never fell in love with anything, and I just kind of was like, once my mom left, kind of became a rebel kid a little bit, and so my point is, once my neighbor moved in, Steve Jarrett, which I still talk to him a little bit here or there, I should probably call him more because he's the reason I got into riding dirt bikes. Changed that trajectory in my life.
Just complete like
It's crazy.
yeah, fork in the road.
Yeah,
Eh?
from a neighbor moved in when I was probably 9 or 10, and he was about 16. So and you just picture a guy look like Eddie Van Halen. That's
Really?
Oh, dude, this was jean jacket.
Like just full 80s shit.
80s,
Yeah,
dude. And
yeah.
I grew up in the 80s, so I'm stoked. Like I had killer like era.
Yeah.
Like think about it. Like I grew up, was born in 74, and so my prime of childhood was the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's sick. And then my teen years, well, let's see, the 80s, yes, and then my teen years were more into like the 90s, I guess.
Yeah.
If I'm doing that right. So
what was like the
early 90s.
What was like the first big like pop culture moment you remember in your life?
Dude, it was for me as a kid in high school, it was man, the 80s were like it was all the pop music, you know? Like the
What
Cyndi
bands?
Laupers
Yeah.
and the pop music like Duran like
yeah.
that
I like the 80s disco
80s.
dancey
I wouldn't
kinda-
say disco. I would say
Well,
more
it was
like
like that dancey, you know what I mean? Like in the club, popping off in the club
80s
kind of
pop.
thing.
Yeah, and like now like I went to the clubs. I was young, but it was that
What
culture.
about TV shows?
Super fluorescent, everything. I
Yeah.
just remember I had a green fluorescent shorts, real short. Like everything comes in cycles,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like you think that hairdo, the feathered hair, which you guys call it the flip or wings, that's feathered hair, dude.
Yeah.
That's like back in the day, we had our hair feathered, bro.
Yeah.
I remember I used to clip my hair at night because I had straight ass hair. At night before I went to bed, I'd put like bobby pins in it to get it like because I was like when I was a young teen, 12, 13, it was so important to me to style, which I see in my kids now. But so I'd say culture was that fluorescence, right? Full fluorescence. And and a little skate shop in town that I found, and that's where I kind of find my cool trends. I had the Powell Peralta board, and I used to skate the sewers like by my house,
Like Dogtown, Z-Boys type vibes.
100%. And I was so into that as a kid. No one was into that in Nebraska, but I like found that little shop, and it had. I remember Caballero, like the boards I had.
Yeah. Have you ever met him?
Yes. Yeah.
He loves moto.
Yeah. He's a complete moto dude.
Yeah.
And I see him at the tracks, and I laugh because I'm like, bro, I like had your board.
you were the man.
I'm sure everyone said that. I had your board, dude.
Yeah.
Like anyway. So it's cool to meet those guys. So pop culture, yes, 80s, grew up in that, and it was a fun time. And the music, like I was saying, was that. And then I kind of got into like heavy metal.
Yeah.
And that when
What bands like Metallica?
Metallica. Yeah, that was the first like kind of
like
band.
Slayer, that sort
Judas
of shit.
Priest,
Yeah.
And I remember I had like a Judas Priest hat. And I used to wear parachute pants. You remember those when they came in style?
MC Hammer shit.
Bro,
Yeah.
me and my buddies thought it was the coolest thing. We'd go to Skateland. Like I was Midwest hardcore. Like, but I always liked trends. I was always trying to find.
But
the
you
next
probably
trend.
just wouldn't have felt like you fit in there, eh?
No.
Yeah.
No.
What was like the average guy?
The average guy was the jock.
Yeah.
It was football.
Yeah, like the football dude, varsity team, like that whole just stereotypical, like what would you call that? Like Midwest America.
What's that movie? Friday Nights or Saturday?
Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights.
Yeah,
yes, that was where I grew up.
And so you just wouldn't have felt like you fit in there at all.
No. I wasn't the jock. I wasn't that scene. Once I got a moto, but moto for me hit when I was 10.
Yeah.
So that's when I had my paper route, had to earn my first dirt bike. My dad got me my first real KX60, a new bike for Christmas around when I was about 10. And that was the big kickoff, And I remember I'd work on the bike in my garage, like do the filter and oil myself. And like my dad was a teacher to superintendent of the school system, very business, up at 6 a.m. To work, suit and tie every day. Got home by 5, 6 o'clock. I didn't really see him. My mom was gone at that point. And so anyway, my dad did not know how to work on dirt bikes, didn't know how to ride one. Still to this day has never ridden a dirt bike.
That's insane.
Yeah, I remember I tried to show him one day, and he and grabbed the front brake and crashed, and that was it. He was over it. But he would sit in that. We had a storage unit that, like a metal storage unit, like in town, where we would keep our bike. And he would go there and change the tire and do the filter. He learned how to do the top end. This is before internet.
Yeah.
Like you didn't get to learn on the internet. You had
Yeah.
to literally read the manual.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyway, he worked on all my bikes and he figured it out enough to get by. It wasn't like, I had never had great bikes. My stuff was always really wore out. And if I got a new top end twice a year, that was a big deal,
Yeah.
And so I give him massive praise now. And I think most kids are like this. They'll go through their teen years and not understand the sacrifice their parents make. And I think about the time they hit their late 20s, and definitely when they have kids, they'll understand.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, okay, I get it.
I feel like that now with my dad. Like, so we didn't have a lot of money when we grew up, and it was one of those things where we just never had anything. Like, and all the kids that, like, school sucked for us, or at least for me. I don't know that my brother cared as much as I did, but I think maybe being the oldest, but I'd go to school and you'd see like kids had Nikes, kids had this, kids had that. And then I didn't even have a track, like a bike. I made friends with kids that did have a bike, and I hoped that I could ride their bike in the backyard, you know? And I think I spent a lot of my childhood, I've spoken about it a bit before, but like almost like resenting my parents in a weird way. Cause I'm like, why does everyone else have it? You know, like you just fully don't understand.
Why can't I? Yeah.
And then now, like you get married. Like I have a wife to provide for. Like we have a family. We don't have kids yet, but it's like I'm the guy that has to look after the family, and it's so fucking stressful. You know, and I have like so much more means to make money than my dad did, and it's still stressful. And like I have such a perspective now of what my dad actually did for me and what my mum actually did for me.
Yeah.
Based on now having to like provide for my own family, and I'm like, holy fuck, it's crazy what they did, you know. And I almost wish I could go back and relive my childhood from like a way more grateful place, you know.
I think of that all the time. I go, would I accept if I could go in time travel and go back to 10 years old? Would I do it again? And do my life all over again? Would I do that? I always have this weird dream.
Would you change anything?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Sure, yeah. I would change stuff.
But
sure,
don't you get scared that it would alter the course of your life? Because there are these points, right? There are these crazy decisions in your life.
You're right, yeah.
I call them like one-way doors, right? So there's doors you can walk through in life where you can go in and you can come back out. If you're like, fuck this door, like that room sucks, I want to go backwards. But then there's some doors where you walk in and you can't go back. Like having a kid. Or getting married. I guess you can walk back from that. But I mean, even like I think when I met my wife, like it would have been so easy for us to like go our separate ways again. You know, like we met in a different country and like just it was a whole thing where I could have just been like, you know what, fuck it, like nah, and my whole life would be different, you know.
I know, and I get exactly what you're saying. I feel like I would have those decisions I made on those days that maybe I got hurt really bad. I would like change those, but maybe all that stuff formed me who I am. You know, maybe I had to go through that. Maybe those gnarly injuries and the gnarly days like formed me who I am. You know, so. And I'm not saying who I am, I'm this great dude, but I'm saying for where I'm at in life, coming from a small town in Nebraska and be able to achieve the things I have, there is so many losses along the way. And that's what forms you to be a man. And before I forget about this, because my mind spins on a bunch of different things, is as a man, you have a pressure especially when you become a husband, and then even more as a father, you have a pressure of I am the provider.
Yes.
And every man has that. And it's stressful. And a lot of people don't understand that. And kids will eventually figure that out as they get older. There's a stress as that role that you need to provide for your wife, provide for your kids. And provide is, you know, the basics of, you know, food and schooling and education and raising them up, right? And everything else is a freaking effing bonus. Right? If your dad buys you a dirt bike, freaking dude, that's a hardcore bonus, dude. Like you don't need like deserved, like that ain't like normal life, dude. Travel around the world. Like take a look at some third world countries, bro. Like I've been around the world and I'm like, dude, it taught me more than any schooling will teach me. And it teach me to respect like the things I had and in the life we're that you're able to achieve in this country.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have the rights to achieve whatever you want in this country. I don't care what people say and how they can say, you can find the negatives in anything. But, like I said, when we fly the flag of America, it stands for, you know, family, faith, freedom to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is the community I am. I like the moto community, I think really stands for that.
Yeah.
So not to run off on that tangent, but I feel like that is what America is about. And yes, if you do, anytime you give people a lot of power, they're going to be corrupt, right?
Yeah.
It's just usually the scenario, right?
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like very rare do you see someone that gets more and more control and power just to be fair, even to even the people without power, right?
Yeah.
Usually people with power want to surround themselves with other powerful people and kind of shit on the others, right? So when you can find a leader that stands for the small people, you know, the people with not so much, then it's very rare.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I'm not go down that whole path, but you know, I've lived a lot of years and got to see a lot of, you know, different leaders and a lot of different scenarios. So
Yeah.
I feel like I can speak a little bit from
definitely.
some experience, you know.
You're right about the whole pressures of being a man thing, eh? Like, and we're in such a weird time now where being a man's like a bad thing to so many people. It's become such like this toxic,
I know,
toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like, you know, we come from countries that were like essentially colonized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we, to speak for Australia, right? So like a few hundred years ago, which is not fucking, that's like 4 people ago, like, which is
that long ago,
crazy, dude.
I trip on that too.
4 people ago, there was a fucking boat that was leaving the United Kingdom and basically like went to Australia. And, you know, there's this whole, it's been a crazy to watch like the narrative of the last few years to be like the men in power and this patriot. And it's like, who got on the boats?
Yeah.
Who got on the boats? The fucking men. Like the dudes got on the boats and they went to the country, and that's why the police were men first, and all of the men in the courts were men, and all of the government were men. Like that's just how this shit works. Like we have this long hangover from 300 years ago when like it was only fucking men that got on boats and went and built new countries, you know, and that takes like, there's a reason why there's not as many women here, and there's a reason like, because they didn't come in those early stages, you know.
Most people see past that though. Most people don't see are so short-sighted.
But that has like the biggest effect on all of this, you know, and it's like this whole toxic masculinity. Hey, we need fucking men. Like I can tell you right now that if all the men just listened to what people said and told like sit down, be quiet, fucking blah blah blah, then nothing would get built, nothing would be protected. Like I don't want a chick cop coming to me in certain circumstances. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I get what you're saying. It's the end of a civilization as a country. Yeah, what it is. You know, it's the old school. Let's go old school, and you have the strong man in like the strongest man in the tribe is usually the leader, right? And so, and I know that's like we're getting to this time where it can be like a guy on a computer, it can be like, you know, the guy, right? When it goes back to, let's just say it goes into these hard times, which will come. To say war, which I don't want to see happen, but it's destined at some point, right? Like it's, you know, who's gonna fight the fight, dude? You know, it's gonna come down. And I mean, I don't know.
Want men.
You want men, yeah, guys that want to fight, that want to stand up, that want to support and protect. And there's just, I don't know. You can talk to girls about it. Like now, over this many years, like one thing, you know, my wife says you want a leader in the house, right? Be the leader. Yeah. You know, and I get that a lot of times. Like that's like, hey, you know, control the kids. Be a man, be a leader. And I'm like, all right, like that's it. It's the facts of the facts. So it's I don't know, a lot has been learned over the last so many years in my life. Yeah, and people, there's like such a pushback in society to have like strong men. It's just become like such a it's almost like this negative thing. Yeah, like why? I think, you know what? I think like I try to explain this because we all deal with now a world of social media and comments and and everyone has this voice on the internet, and I feel like the strong men are the quiet ones.
Mm.
So what you're hearing is the loudest weak
Mhm.
men and people on the internet.
Mhm.
And I think they're the loudest. They yell the loudest.
Mm.
But when the shit hits the fan, it's time for the men to do their job. I think they way outnumber
Yeah.
the people that are squawking.
Yeah.
Like,
What do they say? Walk softly, but carry a big stick.
Yeah.
Like that's the guy that you want.
Dude, you don't think the majority of America is like that?
Mm.
They just aren't on the internet squawking and stirring the pot, right?
Yeah.
And I was saying that, and that's something even like tell my kids. I mean, you can't. The internet's just noise, and it's a great avenue to build companies and build brands. It can be used in a great way.
Yeah.
It can be used for so much positive, but there is also the negative of it. And I feel like I think the good outweighs the bad for now. I just feel like the credibility of comments are going down each day.
Mm.
Like I feel like that. Eventually, I feel like comments will eventually mean nothing, just because they're so like everyone's got one, and it's like what do you even believe anymore? What does it stand for? But I feel like the ability to influence is always going to be power, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that, like I said, the internet, you just got to be careful, because I feel like, when I tell my kids or the people I influence that you can't let it sway you too much, because I feel like the people that are the loudest right now are not really your group, right? It's not really your crew of people that are on your same wavelength, right? And all those dudes are kind of like more quiet in the background, but when the shit hits the fan, they're going to be the ones that come up and get shit done.
Yeah.
That's just my feeling of it.
No, I agree, and I think like I talk about it all the time. Like, I don't have any friends that would comment on a YouTube video, or like my actual friends, people that I respect highly, that isn't like a positive comment, like "fuck yeah, bro," like "well done." I literally know 0 people, and if
how much do you comment on shit?
I don't.
I know, neither do I that much. Like very rare, and if it is, it's like.
Well, I like to give people shit. Like, I'll fire back at people that talk shit on me, but that's like fun to me.
Fun to you.
You know what I mean? I'll actually enjoy that process sometimes, but it's like a thing I can dip into and then dip out of. But dude, I've noticed lately, and I mean, we reach like 1 million accounts every month on Instagram.
It's crazy. It's awesome, man.
It's rad,
Very
but
powerful,
it comes with a lot of bullshit now.
Yeah, if you let it,
Well, it just I just can't. Luckily, we're at a point where I can't even read all the comments. So, like, I'd have to spend all day doing it, But you can definitely tell, like, way more of a tone these days of, like, negativity and bullshit. And none of those people, I'd never meet them in the real world. Even after the whole privateers thing. Like, at Salt Lake, like, my wife was like, man, how do you think Salt Lake's going to be? Like,
you're just going to get attacked by everyone?
Literally. She was like,
did you get attacked?
Not one person.
Okay.
Not one fucking person said anything negative to me. Okay. And there's all these people on the internet that were just talking so much shit. And it's just like,
so what does that value show you?
Exactly.
Of their comments,
right? It's barely real.
Barely real. Yes. And the value of it's dropping. But I think the value of influence is always going to be strong.
Yeah.
That's why, and trust me, I've had my moments to where I'm like, why are we even doing this? Yeah. Like, why don't we just go and ride dirt bikes?
Right off into the sunset. We got plenty of money.
And enjoy our life, right? And then I'm like, man, I just feel like having this influence for many reasons. Well, a few reasons. I feel like we started this movement with the YouTube at a young age with Haiden and our family, telling our story. And we were one of the first ones to jump on that and build this momentum with this community. And I feel like this community is very like-minded. I feel like Moto is very like-minded with
I agree with
that. with our
values are aligned in a way.
Yes, I feel like it's very and the ones that are not, they don't have to watch our channel.
Yeah.
But I feel like in another conversation, I feel like there is people out there in the media that use the Moto front for their cover page, but are not really part of our community vibe, right? I think there is those people. I out there, and I think people are starting to see that.
Yeah.
But as far as us, the reason I say that, I feel like our channel, it really does reach this community of like what we stand for, and I feel like there's a necessity there with all the bad media that comes out when you're saying like the masculinity thing, the war on men, and we know the list. We can all say the same list of things that have come out the last 10 years, and I think that our channel is able to combat that a little bit.
Like
a little
in your
bit,
own way.
in our own way.
Yeah,
and I feel like we owe, I don't know if owe, but I feel like we have built this family of community, and to just shut it off would be like, almost like a shining light is like, kind of the shining light in a dark world of media.
Yeah.
For what we stand for is, and maybe I'm off in left field, but
I do think that there is a element of that, and like I mean, I see your comments on stuff like when I'll look at things that you guys post, and then whenever you're involved in stuff like that we post, there is a lot of people that are like, man, Brian's a family man. Like, I mean, as far as like you personally, like you're a guy that's made millions of dollars, you reached the top of your sport, you've now raised successful kids that are doing their own thing, and you're 50 years old, you're still fucking ripped, you're still working out every day. There's just like an element of a butterfly effect that you can have in the world by just existing in your own way. And then people, like, you're not doing paid ads. You're not like, there's not this disingenuous push to be bigger than what you are. Like, you're the guy that you are, and you get on your social media and you talk about what you believe in, you talk about faith, you talk about freedom, you talk about like, and there's people that resonate with that.
Yeah.
And it's like, why does it have to be any deeper than that? Like I'm a dude that loves moto. I love the people. I got a certain idea of how I want our sport to look.
Yeah.
I have my things, and that's just, you can either you're either like, you're on board or you're not.
Yeah.
And I just fully don't care,
You have a choice.
Yeah.
And you know what makes people mad though is why I think people get upset with like what you say or what you do at times, because they see that you have a following, an influence, and they're like, you're saying things I don't agree with, and you're reaching a lot of people, so I'm mad.
Yeah.
And I think that's the vibe of a lot of people. Then I'm like, okay, cool. Get your mic, go get your dirt bike, whatever your access is, and go build your network and say what you want to say.
Yeah.
And I go, it's open game.
Yeah.
Don't be mad at us because we've built a network and it didn't happen overnight. Right? It was just a lot of work. Dude. And anyway, I just let a little thought on that one.
But I think, to circle back to your point, like I think there is value in that. There's value in just being a guy that is like, you're living a good life.
Yeah.
And you're like showing people that, like, I get influenced by your running. Like, I try and run a bunch, and I've been shit lately.
Yeah.
Like, since we got back from Dubai, I fucking had pneumonia. I'm just like, been fucked.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at your stuff, and I'm like, fuck. He's 50.
This is the old dude out there. I run down the road with broken ankles and tore up metal in my body. But yes, and I have my pages that I look at that motivate me to go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have, out of everything I've done, I feel like that is one of the things I hear quite a bit lately at the races when fans come up, which there's a lot of fans at the races, and they come up and say, hey man, you really motivated me to get back to working out.
Yeah.
Or like, go running, or I can't run because of this, but I do this, and I'm like, cool. I don't know if that's why I totally did it, but like in the end, it's motivating me to keep doing it.
Yeah, there's also a thing. This is probably the bigger impact on my life with all of this. Is there's a certain level of accountability that you have to have when people are looking at you and when people are watching you. So I have to be very careful to do the things I say. Because it's like, that's actually quite important to me.
Yeah.
Because I am a guy that, like, I'll try and be positive, and I'll try and be, spreading love.
You're a human. You're going to mess up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I have my moments. Unfortunately, they all get caught on camera now. I have my moments where I snap. I get mad, dude, all the time. I've been pretty good at controlling it. Like, younger days, I couldn't control it, and it took quite a bit of counseling and, like, and a lot of years to be able to control that, because I used to just, like, snap off anything. And now it takes a lot to get me mad.
Yeah.
But usually you mess with my kids, I get, that's like that's any man's
it's a
trigger,
point.
right?
Yeah,
As a man, right?
Yeah.
Like you should, right? You'd be the protector, and that's kind of the way I see it, Like, yeah, and the only, like, I had a guy tell me the other day, he said, the only reason you really should fight, like, is for your family.
Yeah.
He's like, other than that, is it really ever worth it? You're going to get trusted, and you're going to go down that path. And back in the day, obviously, I didn't care about that, but it was kind of a cool comment, I thought.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was in San Diego. I took my wife down there for like, there was just like a little restaurant that I thought she'd like. Went down there and it was just a ghetto.
Oh yeah,
and like it was bad,
it got
bro.
gnarly down there,
Fucking bad. And there was a guy that started walking towards us, homeless dude, and I literally was like, I'm about to fucking have to fight this guy.
Yeah.
Like, and that was the first time since being married and that whole thing where I just had like a full protective instinct, and I was like, I'm gonna fuck this dude up. Like if he gets any closer and says anything, I'm gonna fuck this dude up. I was like, it was a scary feeling, honestly, because like I don't want to be that guy, And I literally, we turned around and I said, hey, we're gonna go, and she's like, oh, what? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this. Like, let's just get out of here.
Smart,
It was a bad vibe, and I could tell there was like an actual instinct of like I need to protect, and I was like, fuck that. I don't need to be in this environment.
I agree, and I feel like the world's guiding more towards that, and especially this country, it's going that direction. It's becoming more unsafe, 100%. And with having kids, I think about that a lot. And fortunately, we can go live, with land away from it. But man, if you lived in the cities and like down, dude, it would be, you better be on guard, dude. Like
we've been in downtown LA 3 weekends in a row. So we had the Fred Again concert at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
And then
the Coliseum, bro.
Dude,
that's like war central, dude.
It was fucking hectic. So we were there.
Yeah, gunshots I've heard when we were there. Like literally, like when we were
for
racing.
Supercross?
Yeah. Like when we had X Games and stuff there, like you could hear gunshots around there. Yeah,
well, there was fucking helicopters the whole time we were at the concert. There's just helicopters like going it.
Lifestyle, dude.
Well, so we went there, and then we had the big time launch party for Donut Media.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, the 2 boys from that channel, they launched their own channel recently. So we're there, and it's like, man, parking, walking, like it's pretty bad at the moment, and it's fucking sad, honestly.
Yeah.
Like it's honestly really, really sad.
Yeah.
Like downtown LA looks like a third world country.
Yes, it does now. After traveling to like say Brazil or Mexico or these different countries I've been to, it's getting there.
Yeah.
It's definitely getting there. So yeah, I feel like the cities in America are going to be the first things. They always are the first things to get the effects of the decisions being made. And I feel like those are where you see bad laws and bad governing happens. Usually starts with the cities.
Yeah, and
then it'll feed out into the communities, a little bit, but. Still have a lot of good towns out there.
Oh,
in America, you can live in these small towns, and there's still old school. Like people hold the door for you. People are waving when you go by. They'll say please and thank you. They make eye contact, and it's still shake your hand, and and that kind of weird. The handshake thing got taken away, and that like kind of like crazy. Like I think about like these things that have all been implemented. And the way you change a nation is one step at a time.
Yeah.
And that's how they do it. Like because if they did it all at once, everyone would be like, you notice how they start taking away just a little bit.
Well, they get you used to things.
Yeah.
That you didn't think you could get used to before.
By a little bit.
Yeah. Was like the mask thing was massive, and then like just working from home.
From home.
You know how many people like they're. Be careful.
Is it just our country doing that, or is this? Hopefully, it's all the countries. Come like, does America really just go this sideways in the last 4 years? It's since like our structures completely like no one wants to work. They're begging for employees in all these restaurants and stores, and then the ones they get, they're like. Well, that dude has showed up 2 hours late and is freaking stoned and freaking da-da-da, but he's working, so we're going to keep him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
The bar's so low.
So low.
Yeah.
What's scary is I've noticed it most on the airlines.
Oh,
Did you notice flying the last 2 or 3 years has been very, like, planes are broke all the time. You know, you're missing flights. You're sitting on the runway.
Oh, dude, yeah,
it's
just
crazy,
everything's
dude.
it's
Flights
in shambles.
canceled like crazy. It used to not be like that.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
So that's a little sense of where it's headed.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, yeah, I think we're gonna start seeing the more effects of these bad decisions in this country, and it's becoming more of a third world nation, which is sad. And I'm not like speak a bunch of like people think they. Before I forget this, because like I said, forget things very quick. Is like people when we're talking about the comments and stuff, and this happens with like this leader in our country, like. People are like, oh, I hate you. I hate him. Or he does this. He does that. Like, I still don't even know you good enough to hate you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know you that good. You know, you don't know me. You don't know my secrets. You don't know who I really am. Like, every day of my house with my kids and with my family, with my in-laws, you just don't see that, right? Yeah. So if you were my family, say you were my brother and you grew up with me and you're like, I hate this guy. I'd be like,
yeah, that says a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Like, you know me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Other than that, like, I just see this quote, I forget where I got that or saw that, but like, you don't know me good enough to hate me. And I was like, dude, that is like I think, on the money, man. Like, you know, like I thought really deep into that, and sometimes I do. And if you ever see me just staring off into space, like it's because my mind's racing 1,000 different ways and I'm thinking about a ton of stuff. And my wife will always do that, like look at me and be like, bro, hey. And I'm like, dude, I'm just thinking about a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And she's like what? I said, well, let's Haiden on the starting gate, Hudson on fishing, my business stuff over here, you know, me riding my dirt bike, me going to jiu-jitsu, or me, what I'm going to eat, what I'm going to do. Like, I have to call this guy, I'd send this email. Like, I go, there's a few things. Yeah. You know?
Dude, you know the one that I always think of, it's like kind of the inverse of that, is that I don't agree with everything my mum says.
Yeah, same here.
And my mum doesn't agree with everything I say. No. And guess what? I fucking love her.
Yeah, it's fine.
Like, what because I've been in America for a long time, like since 2010 when I first came here. So I've spent a good majority of my adult life being here. Yeah, and they're just over time, since that period of time to now, it just feels like America's got to this place where they need to agree with everything. Yeah. And now you just have these like pillars that people have in their life, and it's like if you don't agree with every single thing I say, and it's like towing the party line. Yeah. But there's 20 Republican parties now. Yeah. There's this extremely far right Republican Party. There's like the 90%. There's the 80%. Yeah. Then there's like a old school conservative. Yeah. Like, and it just it wasn't ever when I first moved here that like you had to agree with everything. Yeah. And now you do.
Yeah, now like why though? It's like why can't everyone just be different and like the things they like? And it's just like you need to agree with everything I think so you can be on my side,
on my team,
and we'll have more power. Like we're gonna have more momentum, and our vote will mean more. And we got to persuade you to be all in on our thing. I
don't think I know enough about so much shit. I definitely know that the extremes. Like, this was something my dad always told me. The truth is in the middle. Yeah. The extremes on either end are like where shit gets sideways.
Yeah. And I used to live in the extremes. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When I was full militia. Well, the days there. And I know people are still like, how do you go to church on the weekend and then still own militia or part of it? I'm like, man, I get that. I get that viewpoint 100% because when I became a Christian and went...
Keep talking. I'm just going to check this.
Yeah, when I went down that path, I thought that, man. I was like, oh, man, I just need to, like, sell this, get rid of this, and this, that. And I'm like, man, then I thought about it more, and I talking to some of my leaders. They're like, man, you're in a position to help a lot of people that need this. They're like, so if you turn your back on that, I don't know. They're like, Jesus hung out with the sinners, man. He's like, so that was kind of like, you know?
But what would
Yeah.
be the problem with like owning Metal Militia and
Just because it's still that rebel brand, and you know, and just because I'm changing doesn't mean I have to change a brand, right? That's the
Yeah.
brand, right? Which interest that one's gone. A lot of thoughts have been through my head on that.
it's cool like just
Yeah.
to even have those thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
because it's easier not to for
Yeah.
starters, and you can kind of just like hubris is like a good thing when
Mhm.
when it comes to, you know, certain issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just to even be introspective about things like that's a good thing, I'd say.
Yeah. And I feel like there's still a lot of people to reach. You know,
Yeah.
think about like Jeremy Lusk. Like he was a militia dude.
Probably the nicest guy ever.
Yeah, but he was a gnarly dude.
Yeah.
Like his background and stuff, they were rough dudes, you know? And so he came to the team, and not saying I was the guy, whatever, but we were already at that point, you know, Feist and I down the path of Christianity. And really it's what pulled us out of this freight train to who knows where, you know, and gave us this different path and brought, I feel like that helped influence Lusk, you know, and then it was not even, I think a year later, he, you know, ended up crashing and passing away. And I was thinking, man, he's a born again Christian. You know, I was there when he got baptized in our backyard in our pool. And I still have pictures of that. It's like crazy, you know, and then literally it was like within that year pass away, you know? And so I think of things like that. And I'm like, man, if I had to turn my back on the company and that vibe of that, you know, would, you know, just those instances. And like I said, not saying I was the reason, but at all, but I'm just saying there's that group that it reaches, right? That it's the, like the Bible says, the sinners, right? The tax collectors, the sinners, whatever that, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that was the path I went down. So that was my decision, my path, right? And so those are my decisions. And I mean, people, I'm sure a lot of people don't agree with me, or some people do, and whatever. It's my decisions, and that's where I'm at. And that's what's kept me kind of my foundation of decision making a lot of times. So like a lot of times I'm like, man, what should I do here? Or how is this path going to play out? And the world's telling me to go this way. And I'm like, I just got to stick to what the Bible says.
Yeah.
And I'm not the best, I can't say best Christian, but I'm not the, you know, I guess the best influence all the way around, you know.
But I think that's not the point. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's kind of from my knowledge of it, it's like
Yeah.
no one's perfect.
No one's perfect.
Like that's the
thing.
point. It's
Yeah.
is accepting that you're not perfect,
Yeah.
but
And the one
still
thing,
trying to walk a certain life
Yeah.
in spite of not being perfect.
exactly. And just trying to be better each day. And the end goal is to, you know, share your faith and have others have it get to heaven.
Yeah.
Right? That's, you know, believe, confess. And it says, you know, you'll be, you know, in heaven when you die. And that's, there's a lot more to it. But,
Yeah.
you know, I feel like that's, for me, is the path I went down. I almost died at least 3 times, you know, like seriously, very close. And so it took me almost dying, literally looking death in the face, and doctors telling me, you know, as they're putting me under, like, we're going to do everything we can. You know, is there anything you want to tell your family? Like, for me, that's like the doctor saying, there's a good chance you're going to die. Like,
Yeah.
well, we're going to fight for you, and we're going to help do everything we can. And then you see a gas mask go in your face, you know? So at that point, I'm like, please, God.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would make you have a conversation with God.
100%. So you're going lights out, and you're like, okay, what's happening? Where am I going? If I don't wake up, like, is it lights out? If so, it's lights out.
Yeah.
But what if?
Yeah.
What if it's not?
Yeah.
You know, like it says weeping and gnashing of teeth. You know, I've been hurt to the point where I felt like I was, you know, I blew my kidney up, my spleen, bleeding internally, ripped my kidney off my artery, shattered it off my arteries pumping in my stomach. And I was felt like I got shot in the stomach with a gun, you know, sudden fire. And I was an hour to get, by the time I got to the hospital, about 45 minutes. And I just remember chewing my tongue and grinding on my teeth. And you know how many times I've broke bones, like broke my femur, my hip, my wrist, my arms, like all at the same time one time. and just grinding my teeth, just shredding my teeth because it hurts so bad, you know? And that's weeping and gnashing of teeth. You know, that hit, like, for me, I'm like, I've been there.
You're like in that moment.
In that moment.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, that would be, I want to be like that for eternity. If that's the realm, you know, if that's the path. And I have a lot of people close to me that are not, that still haven't made that decision that I've, you know, and I'm like, I just wish they would, you know, and because I just feel like if it's real, which I believe it is, where are you going? You know, and life's short, man.
It's
already
crazy
halfway.
short.
I'm like halfway to that moment, if not a lot closer than halfway, right? I mean, I haven't figured out how to transplant your brain in another body yet, which will probably happen.
It's happening. It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. I've seen like Instagram posts that like show it like really happening. I'm like, oh, they haven't figured out how to connect the cord and do all that yet. So, which I made my mind think and like that. So that there is a D-Day, right, for everyone. Everyone's gonna die. That's 100%. And so, where do you go? And for me, I've been pushed to these realms. Like, I don't live this life in this bubble where I'm just like, go to work, 9 to 5, come home, cook my dinner, and then, you know, go to bed, do it again. Like, I live in this realm of a lot of different things happening. So for my mind to think that, like, my mind goes there, you know? So I'm like, I believe that that's possible, and that is a place that does exist.
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't want to take the chance.
Yeah.
You know, and it says salvation, once you give your salvation, once you give your life to Christ, that it can't be taken away. It cannot be snatched out of the Father's hand. So no matter, and I think people will debate that one hardcore. You know, people will be like, well, if you do this, you do that, you lose your salvation. I don't believe you do.
Well,
like,
it doesn't say that in the Bible.
Yeah. So, and like I said, that people will debate that. But my point is, I made that commitment, and my life goes up and down, and I go from like extreme to non-extreme, you know, like it just goes in these waves. And so, you know, so it's easy to point fingers and be like, well, you didn't do this, you don't do that. Like I said, I'm a man, I'm not perfect. I screw up way more than I do things right. I promise you that. So, but it makes life exciting. You know, my life's exciting because of these highs and lows. And I don't know if I should say this, but like at the end of the day, like I feel like I've lived 10 men's lives. I've traveled the world. I've had the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. I've experienced almost every type of personality. You know, I've met so many people and been in so many situations that I feel like I've lived a great life. You know, I feel like I've, you know, if I was to be gone tomorrow, like, don't feel bad for me, man. Like, you know, I like lived it, you know, I did it. And so, obviously I want to, now I have kids. I want to see them.
Yeah, you want to stay around as long as possible. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I'm like, there's no way I'm living past 40. Like, I just constantly thought that, which is kind of odd, but I was like, man, I just was down this path of doing all this stuff. And I didn't think about the future. And then as I had kids, I'm like, man, like my body, I've like broke so many bones, lost organs, and have all this metal in my body. And I'm like, dude, hopefully I can, you know, still live a long life to see my kids have
crazy
kids,
the shape you're in.
Yeah.
Like right now. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, dude. I watched that video of Travis that he put out recently. I felt.
Do you guys even understand?
Bro, I felt.
The body he has underneath his skin.
I feel terrible for him.
Yeah.
You know, like he's the fucking nicest guy.
Yeah, so nice.
And he pushed and pushed for us.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Like he did that for like this, what he did for our generation and what he did for like thousands and I mean, you as well.
Yeah.
You know, like thousands of people. And now he's going to really struggle.
Yeah,
like,
he's
for
in
a
his
long
40s,
time.
I would say, because I think he was like...
He's a little bit younger than you, eh?
10 years younger than me,
really?
bro. I'm 50. Yeah, like, he's probably young 40s. So I've looked at his x-rays, and, you know, my x-rays are gnarly, but his are, like, probably times 4 or 5 of mine.
Really?
Yeah. Like, just Google it. And this dude, like, he's probably the gnarliest guy I know, like, hands down. Like,
have to be.
Yeah. I don't know military guys. I'm sure there's guys that are, like, next level, but, like, I just, as far as action sports goes, I think he's the gnarliest guy I've ever seen or met as far as pushing the limits, doing things that you would never think are possible, risking his life over and over and over. And yeah, he's got a lot of metal in his body, dude. A lot. And so hopefully the technologies keep coming and things can get fixed easier, and that's what I'm saying with health and surgeries and with 3D printing and all that. Maybe they're able to non-invasive kind. For me, if you ever had an injury, if you're broken bones and you have metal in your body, for me, the best thing I ever did was get all the metal taken out of my body.
Really?
Oh, dude. Like I could barely walk. I had a plate and pins in my hip. I had in my ankle. I had in my shoulder. So anyway, I had one surgery and it was an old video. I filmed it and they took all the metal out in one surgery. And the doctor's like, "You really want to do all that in one surgery?" I'm like, "Dude, just do it." Cause I'm like, I don't want to keep coming back.
Yeah, you don't want to keep coming in here. Yeah.
So he is like pounding. It's when you go into surgery, you look at the table. Like I hate doing that, but you look at the tray. I wish they would not have it in there before you get put under.
Yeah, bro. It's like a torture chamber.
Yeah, because literally before I get put under, I'm like, and I always tell them like, okay, when I do anesthesia, like let me chill for a little while, right? Because they put you like on this like funky like thing that calms you and you're just chilling. And like I'm like, it's kind of a cool feeling, just chilling. And then you look over, you're like, bro, there's like drills and hammers and chisels and scissors and all this stuff on the plate. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. Like they're gonna start drilling. So anyhow, he cut my leg open and had this long chisel, bang, bang, bang with a hammer, and starts popping on the plate that was bones growing over this plate and pops it out of my hip, and thing goes flying across the room. And so it got all that out. The only thing they couldn't take out, I still have a rod in my humerus from 99. I got landed on in Supercross and broke my arm. Most of my injuries came from freestyle motocross, 100%. That's where, because we were the guinea pigs. We created the sport. There's no foam pits back then. It was straight to dirt. Dude, I broke so many bones just trying to like win and trying to like innovate, because you won events by innovating new tricks.
Yeah.
So, but anyhow, so my point with health is metal, I don't feel belongs in your body at all. And the doctors will say, "Oh, it's fine, titanium." I'm like, man, I just don't like. I feel so much better without the metal in my body.
So you could actually feel better. How long did it take to start feeling better?
I'd say within 6 months to a year.
What was the difference?
I could walk fine. Like I all of a sudden went back from. I used to walk with a bad limp, and I couldn't jog. I couldn't none of that. Because that plate and pin, I had a bolt in my hip through the bone, through my femur into my hip. And so I really struggled to walk, and it gave me a gnarly like pain in that joint. And so it took about 6 months to a year, and I was back to like, I think they're made to heal. Like your body heals itself. Yeah, it really does. So as long as you're putting good stuff in your body and you're active, your body's gonna do pretty good. Yeah, your body's made to move. If you don't move, your body will deteriorate and die.
Yeah, movement is medicine.
Yes, and that's what I learned over time. And we have plants in our house, and I feel like that's important for the kids to see. Like, I want my kids to water the plants. I want them to see growth, because I'm like, your body is very close to what a plant is.
Yeah,
If you're going to go put a soda in that plant, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's probably going to live very long, right? And bodies are tough, though. Like, think of what you put in your body, and they still survive. And I think that's the number one problem with this country is that they're so loose on the laws, and they've allowed all this.
Bro, it's so bad.
So bad. They've allowed all this preservatives, and the preservatives are what causing all the problems with those bodies, right? Yeah. You see kids with bloated stomachs now, and they're like, oh, they look like they're fat, but they're not. It's just a bloated stomach. You see it with a lot of kids now. That's just your intestines are that swollen. You have inflammation of the gut that bad. Yeah. And that's from preservatives, from the cereals, from all the kids' foods and all the kids' menu they give you. That's all crap. And I can go down that whole road, but I mean, it's obvious. It's common sense, man. But it's hard when you have no other alternative. Yeah.
If that shit blows me away. Like, that's a huge thing coming from Australia to here.
Yeah, Australians are pretty in good shape. Dude, when I went to Australia, most people are fit.
Yeah, bro, this is the food. Yeah. Like, even my wife cooks 3 meals a day. Yeah. So we never eat out. She's a real good cook. Mm-hmm. She cooks a cooked breakfast, a cooked lunch, and a cooked dinner every fucking night. And we've still put on weight here.
Yeah.
eating like we're eating steaks every night.
Yeah.
We're eating vegetables every night. We're
Yeah.
eating, but the food is different. Like they're
Yeah.
doing something
Oh,
here.
it is.
And we went to like, dude, this fucking it's gonna probably sound bad to some people. Me and my wife literally went to Walmart the other day as a joke.
Yeah.
Like it's a fun for us
Yeah.
to go to Walmart
Yeah.
and just look at
Look
Walmart.
at what people eat and how they
Looking
look.
at people.
Just look at the people. That's what
Yeah.
I do at restaurants. I go tell my kids, I'm like, look at who's going in and out of that restaurant. That's what the food is doing to them.
Yeah.
If they look ripped and they're in shape and they're like, it's probably a healthy place,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Look at all the people of Walmart, dude.
And like, man, and
Yeah.
it's like my wife's fucking toxic trait is that she looks at every single
ingredients,
nutrition thing.
But you should, yeah.
I'm just like, I just know what to eat. Like, I'm never gonna pick up a fucking box of Klondikes
Yeah.
as like a potential option.
Yeah,
but,
it's not- you
but
just skip
she's-
that whole aisle.
Yeah, she's like, look at this, look at the first ingredient, look at this. It is crazy. That's the thing that fucking drove me nuts through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Is like the people that are the most at risk and the people that are most fucked up or gonna get fucked up. You're sick already.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're obese,
Yeah.
you're sick.
Yeah.
You are currently
Yeah.
unhealthy, and when you are sick, your risk of getting more sick
Yes.
is
much higher.
increasing. And it's like, it fucking frustrates me so much.
It's
especially
common
like,
sense, but it's not common. Yeah.
but you look at the election, right? And it's like, how easy would it be to win if you were just a fucking good dude?
Yeah.
Like if you were just good
Yeah.
and you had like good policy and you were going to make smart decisions and
Do
you
you
were
feel like that Kennedy dude's kind of that? Like you
Yeah.
know, like he seems like he's against, all the crap that's making kids sick, and I don't know. I feel like he's kind of that guy.
I feel like he's not too
But
bad.
I think the election process in America has gone so far. If like celebrities are winning to run the country, like dude, like actors and and I'm like we've gotten way off the
Yes.
path of having a true leader that cares about the people. In America, I feel like it was supposed to always be ran by the people.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people like categorize me as a certain person with a certain following, and anymore I'm kind of like, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm just like American and that likes to ride dirt bikes, raise my kids and my family, and believe in
you're about
going to
values. You have values that,
and whoever that guy is
Yes.
that aligns with my values is who
Yes.
I'm cool with. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. Like, I do think the country was in a much better spot 3 or 4 years ago.
I agree with that.
I mean, dude, you can't argue that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't care who it takes, but if you can get it back towards that direction, I would like that.
Yeah.
I would like to, and I'd like to believe our vote counts. I'd like to still believe that, even though I'm like, I'm about 45-50% on that,
that's a real dude. January's gonna be gnarly here, no matter
you
what
think
happens.
last election was bad? This
This is
what
gonna
people
be
are
real
telling
bad.
me. Like,
Yeah.
I've been hearing from like higher ups, and they're like, wait till this one.
Yeah, January's
like, it's
gonna
gonna
be
get not even January. Like, it's coming towards that cycle of the last 2 or 3 months. Isn't it real calm right now?
The
Like,
problem
this hasn't hit
is,
us yet. Something's coming, bro, and I'm not trying not to be that.
Yeah,
"Hey,
yeah.
you're that guy. Like, I pray it doesn't.
Yeah.
I pray it goes smooth and the best guy wins. I pray that happens, because I want my kids to be raised in a good country. I want them to have the life I had as a kid. I do, and I feel like the less government, the better for the people. The people need to be able to run and govern their own communities, and they know what's right for their kids. Like parents naturally just usually know what I need for my kids. They don't. I just feel like there's nothing good come out of the government controlling the families, and the communities. I feel like that's how this country was formed.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be, but I do think corruption's been around forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can say, oh, it's just the last 20 years. No, it's because socials exposed it all.
like the thing that made America so good was a really
Blue-collar
healthy
worker, man.
middle class. And you do need, like, there's a weird argument to like not want an upper class, because the upper class, like, you think about mobile phones, right? It's like a weird analogy. Who had all the mobile phones first?
Yeah, the rich people.
The rich people. Why?
Yeah.
Because they just could afford to like
Afford it,
pay for this random thing that like no one really fucking knew they needed, no one knew they wanted, but there were companies out there that could make money off these rich people, right? And then what happened is that technology then filtered its way down.
Yeah.
And it's the same as like hundreds of millions of dollars get spent on NASA. Well, that's why you have microwaves.
Yeah.
Like the microwave that's in your kitchen that heats up your food started by like millions of dollars going towards NASA.
Yeah.
And there's like thousands of examples of that. So it's like you should have a
GPS.
Yeah, you should have a wealthy class because you get money that is generated back into the economy, technology. They're always the first adopters because they can afford it. And when technology first comes out, it's always very expensive.
Yeah.
And then it gets filtered down, into the middle class. But there is a fucking huge problem with shitting on your middle class.
Yeah.
Like we make good money. Yeah. And it's fucking hard to live in California.
Yeah.
I could not imagine. I could not imagine being a person that had a salary and went to work and tried to live in California. Yeah. Like, how much fucking money do you need to make? Yeah. The average house price
home is what, 500, 600K now?
Bro, the average fucking cost of a house in California is $900,000.
What?
Yes, dude.
My first home in Cali was 111 grand in Canyon Lake.
Whoa.
111 grand, dude. And that was a big deal to me. But that was a young kid starting off. I was probably 19, 20 years old. It was my first home I could afford. And Ronnie Feist was my roommate. He paid like $200 a month. And we ate peanut butter and jelly. Like, we had no money. And so, but the thing is, imagine a young kid now trying to make it, bro. Like a young kid. So what this tells me, which I tell my kids, which I wish my dad would have told me, and I always, through social media, try to drop things that have worked for me through time and experience. And if I can, it's not just get on and say, hey, look at me on a dirt bike, look at this whip, look at this roost, like actually provide you with some value. To me, if I could say to you as a young person, the best thing you have on your side is time. And with time, real estate makes money. So the best thing I ever did was pay my house off. And I know a lot of people will debate that. Oh, no, invest your money today. Paid my house off when I had a good year in freestyle, and I paid the house off.
The first house?
Yeah. No, I paid off. The first house I ever paid off was it was my second home in Temecula. It was that old barn. It looked like a Dutch Colonial. It was a baby blue barn, and it was hideous.
Was that Nate Adams' house?
Yes. And he bought it from me, and I ended up paying that thing off, and I said, I don't know, it was like $200,000 or $300,000 or something, which was a big deal to me at the time. We built a freestyle park in the back, and the market jumped. It went up. And I think I ended up selling it for, I don't know, like 8 or 9. And that was my first, like, ding, wow, that's the most money I've ever made that quick, like, without really doing much, Yeah. So that taught me over time, real estate goes up no matter what. Yeah. Okay. When has it ever gone backwards except 2008? Yeah. When? Yeah. Has real estate gone down? Yeah. And so I'm going to go down this ramp, but I'm going to tell you, if any words of advice is get into real estate, even if it's just a little bit, and paying off your house is not a bad deal. No, it's very smart because it will grow over time, and that would be your nest egg, and now use that for your next investment. And so we snowballed our houses like that. We'd pay them off and then use it for our next thing, and now one of the things we enjoy doing as a family. My wife's very good at designing homes and designing interiors and designing the yard,
which isn't easy.
No, and she loves it, and to me, I dig it, but I'm not loving it. Like, I love building jumps and like things that don't really make that type of money. But anyhow, through my years of freestyle motocross and racing, I always paid off the real estate, and that is what got me ahead more than anything. Yeah. And so, like, that's my little words of advice on that. I built brands, built companies, and learned a lot about business doing that. And but overall, the best secure investment's always been land and real estate. So now my point with that is, me and my wife enjoy building these homes, and we become the bank, and so we go out and build these nice homes that we would love to live in.
The
coolest spot with the cool shop and the badass house, all modern and cool in a really cool location. And sometimes we'll be like, yeah, we'll just live in it for a year or two, enjoy it. And then you end up selling that home as time goes. The real estate goes up in value, and you just carry on, and it's a business, and it carries on. And to me, I know people are like, oh, you need to do apartments, you need to do this. I don't. To me, it's not fun. Like what we're doing is fun to us. Like we enjoy it, so it's not like working, you know. And it's a system that so far has done well. So a lot of people don't know that about us, but that is part of what we do for business. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, oh, we see you do this and that and this and that. It's like, yeah, it's come from real estate. Like people are like, oh, you're, fly a private jet, or you fly, you're going in this nice, you have these nice cars. Yeah. It's from business. Yeah. I don't think it's from X Games gold medal. Yeah. It kind of is, right?
No, yeah, but you leverage the platform. Yes. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people don't understand. I think even with Supercross races and, like athletes, whatever, is like if you make Supercross main event, you should be making pretty good money. 100%. No matter where you get it from.
Yeah, it's getting there.
But you've got a platform. Yeah. Like, and I tell people this, and I tell riders this, and I like, if I can make money, you can make money.
Yeah, yeah.
What I'm doing is leveraging what I've built. Yep. So you can do that, and that's what you guys have done.
Yeah, and don't be mad. I'm not mad at you that you made money. I'm not mad. I don't look at some dude who drives a badass car and has a dope house that literally didn't get it handed to him. That was like, hey, he built this business and man, I'm like, go so you at the private airport, you're like, you don't like, hate on the dude who's flying. And I'm like, bro, good job. What do you do? Yeah. Like, how'd you do that? Like, let me, tell me. Like, that's cool. Like,
there's always a bigger fish too.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Like, we're salt fried, dude. Compared to like you. That's one thing I realized.
I'm nowhere.
Yeah. And Supercross is getting there. Supercross and motocross is going to become one of the biggest sports in America if it continues on this trajectory. Yeah. And it needs its characters. It needs its promoters. It needs its media. It needs the whole machine, right? Everyone plays a part. But it's in a great spot, and it's on its way up, And I'm just so pumped that we jumped in on the right time. The only thing that can slow it down or derail it is something gnarly happening with
the country.
The country. Yeah. Because sport is not a necessity, let's be honest. Yeah. Right? Like food is a necessity, right? Like home, but not going to the game or to the racetrack, because that will be gone if this country gets into something gnarly, right? Yeah. That is a big fear for me, because I'm like, man, but not a fear for me financially, but a fear for me for my kids, and like they invested their whole life.
Country.
Yeah. I don't want to see it prosper. Yeah, I don't want to see I just like see the things that are happening with the fighting and the killing, and I'm like, fuck, dude, stop, dude. This is so dumb. I just wish everyone could stand up and just be like, we don't agree with that. Stop. We don't want to kill and and destroy people and It's like, dude, it's like, yes, if it gets to the point where they make it to the point though, where like you have to defend your home, you have to defend, and they get you mad and get you like, oh, we got to get them, and you want to see the country united. War start. That's when this country will unite.
Well, look at what happened at September 11th.
Yeah, exactly.
That brought a lot of people together.
Yeah, together. Yeah, and but my point is, why do we have to go down that road? And I don't. Yeah. I just hope my kids don't have to deal with that crap, man.
The thing that's wild, I wish Americans would pick up a fucking history book.
I know, right?
And read about how this country was made and what this country actually stands for. Yeah. The world pre-America was fully fucked. It was run. I don't know that people understand that it was just kings. And it was kings, and it was the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church would literally just be like, we're going to fully change the country borders. It's not going to be called this anymore. It's going to be called this. This is where the land goes. This is now the king. That was the world that lived. People didn't have individual rights. Yeah. America invented people's rights. Yeah. That's the fucking country that you guys created. That's so special. Yeah. There was a group of people that said, you know what? Fuck all this. Fuck the king. Fuck that king. Fuck that king. I'm out. And they went to a completely different place with nothing.
Yeah.
and then they governed themselves. That was one of my biggest, like, I guess the things that kind of hit me when I would really read that kind of stuff for the first time is like individual liberty wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like you kind of just got what the king gave you, and that's it. And if the king wanted it back,
wasn't it run by the king at first?
which
Like I don't know a ton about history. I know enough. But
they colonized.
But when they came to America, the British, like, they was still run by the king.
Yeah, it was-
until finally, did it go a full generation before the people who lived in America, like, fuck this, we ain't gonna support the king thing, we want to do our own thing. Well, didn't it take
I don't know how long.
I think it took like a little time.
Yeah, it wasn't
right off
the
bat.
Wasn't straight away.
Yeah.
But then you get these group of people that stand up
Probably
and just
history
say,
people watching this going, those guys are idiots.
Yeah. I don't know the dates.
Whatever.
But it's like that's what happened over time. Is you get this group of people that said no, there should be individual liberty.
Yeah.
There should be a way that the people govern themselves and that people should have individual rights.
Yeah.
That America invented that, dude.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just such a special thing.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world then said, this works. This is right. This is how it should be.
Yeah.
People should have individual rights. And now we're here
Yeah.
to this place where everyone's
Isn't
forgot
that
that.
crazy? Like, and people are gonna freaking go crazy over this conversation with politics, but whatever. It's our opinions on it.
Yeah,
But
I'm cool.
Yeah, when they interviewed Putin or the guy they had in prison in America and they released him, I forget the name or whatever, but he pretty much said, "Hey, America has always been to us over here the shining light on the hill."
Yeah,
You
it
know,
is, man.
like people feel like if America is gone, freedom is lost.
Yes.
And then you have people here going, "We don't have this. Isn't freedom? This
But
isn't
it is.
Yeah. Compared to all these other places,
And
like,
that- yeah.
you have not been out of this
Bro,
country.
my wife is Russian.
Yeah,
We can't go there.
really.
She's been so like outspoken
Yeah.
in her world.
Is it scary to be outspoken over there?
Yeah, she can't go back.
Yeah.
Like there's no way we can go.
Really?
She knows a girl that when the war started,
Yeah.
she was like just posting on her Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
doing fundraisers. So my wife's Russian. A
Yep.
lot of her friends are Ukrainian.
Yep.
So she lived in China. She was living in China for like 7 years.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Russian, Ukrainian girls
Yep.
that all lived together, right? And like sisters. They all speak the same
Yeah.
language, everything, right? So
Mhm.
then this war breaks out and there's like a clear division between Russia and the Ukraine. So this girl has started doing fundraisers for her Ukrainian friends.
Mhm.
My wife's best friend was in a hospital in Kiev giving birth when it was getting bombed.
Oh, jeez.
So that's how like real it is
Yeah.
in other places, right? And so her friend was doing a fundraiser for like some Ukrainian friends that like lost they lost everything.
Yeah.
She flew back to Russia because her mum got sick. 5 years prison.
For posting about
Posting about it, doing some fundraisers, like 5 years prison.
it? Yeah. Crazy, bro.
So
Do you feel though, like when you post, let's be honest now, because people can say freedom, do you feel like when you're in America, everyone listening here, do you feel like you have to be careful what you say when you post? Like
No.
like to an extent because it's could end up being used against you or used.
I feel like that about drugs.
Yeah.
I don't post about drugs.
Yeah.
That shit'll get you.
Yeah.
But in terms of politically, like, dude, and so I get
No, my point is censorship, right? We're on that path
Yes.
to what a full, dictatorship, you know, and if America doesn't stand up and be like, hey man, we got to keep our freedom of speech, man. That's a big part of this country.
I completely agree.
Yeah, unfortunately now they use it against you, and that was another thing. Think about like as you're a younger kid, you do dumb shit, like you blah blah blah, stuff happens. Like even guys who get in trouble and go to jail or go to prison,
Yeah.
like they do bad stuff or do dumb shit, and then all of a sudden they go through their term of rehabilitation,
dude.
and they get released to freedom and go live back with the civilization. And do you think it's fair to go, hey, like you did something bad 20 years ago and we're still going to hold it against you today?
No.
Like we're going to bring it up and hold it against you today.
No.
Then why is that the vibe of this country?
Yeah. That's
They're like-
it's crazy to me.
Because the media has been able to do that and find stuff in your past and
Yeah,
pull it up
yeah.
and go, look at this, and we're gonna get this guy today for something. Then I'm like, well, then why even put people in jail if you don't think they're the system? You don't think they're paying their dues and erasing that sin or trouble or whatever. And to me, I have a tough one with that. That when people hold people accountable for things they did years and years and years ago,
people change,
when they're a completely different person now.
Yeah.
And I get it. If it's a crime, you do the time, right? I get that.
Yeah, but if you do the time, fucking you're done.
Done. Move on.
Unless it was like...
Yeah, there's certain instances.
There's certain things like if it's like to do with kids, sexual assault, like violent shit. But even violent crimes, like I've been violent in my life.
100%.
I've had some terrible violent incidents that I would never speak on. Like I would never talk about, and I've seen some crazy, terrible violence. I'm not a bad person. I'm not a violent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not who you are today.
Exactly. And it's like, and it was situational. It was where I grew up. It was the street I lived on. It was the friends that I kept. It was their dads.
Product of environment.
One of my best friend growing up, dad was a full blown drug dealer. In and out of jail, like crazy levels of violence. And like I would have to rescue him and his little brother. They pretty much lived at our house for a big portion of our childhood because of shit that was going on, So I think that you can't hold people accountable forever. People change. People find God. People for like legitimately.
Maybe that's my attraction to Christianity, because it is you forgive and you move on. It's a forgiveness of sins and move on. And I think that's something I just struggle with, like people using that against people, when they know that isn't their character anymore.
Yeah, and imagine if it was imagine for a person that would want to hold something against a person, imagine if it was your son.
Yeah.
Like you'd want other people to forgive your son. If you knew that they were they're a good person, they did this terrible thing. Like a lot of people don't treat people as though they could potentially be their own.
100%. And I've gone down that path back in the day when, like, say I had, like, you have middle-aged men that like will talking crap on my kids or whatever and this, that. And I go on there and I will talk to them privately and say, hey, how would you feel about me as a man if I came in your home and bashed your kids?
Yeah.
I go, would you look at me as a stand-up good man? I go, no. So what do you think you look like, dude?
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like, and I get everyone has their opinion. Well, your kid did this, because that. I get it. But as a man, to bash someone's kids or their youth or their wife or their, like, come on, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, man to man, okay.
Yeah.
But like man to kid, I just have a tough time with that, dude.
It goes back to what we were talking about with like the socials thing, right?
Yeah.
So like, when Levi did the podcast, he was wearing the Fox t-shirt that had like the fucking rainbow, and it was just a colorful t-shirt. That was a gear that they did for Parlor, right? Dude, the comments were insane, and like I was just in there replying to people, and I'm like, why do you care?
Yeah, I think when you see the bitterness and hate, this is very cliche and very obvious, but it's coming from you within.
Yeah,
and I know, because I was that guy. I was the guy who used to talk shit on everyone, used to be very negative, always found the bad in everyone. And I was very angry inside. I had a lot of stuff I had dealt with as a kid, and I know people be like, oh yeah, right. I know I did. Like as a kid, I had some gnarly stuff as a kid. And so I expressed that as I was through my, as I grew up and as older, but I feel like that's, when I say I've been there on that other side, I have, to where I was set so much anger and just low level thinking, dude. And I couldn't even like wise enough to see that. I was stuck on this like level of like respond, like, negative. And it took me a little bit to figure out that it was me. I'm like, bro, it's me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yeah, it's me who's got the problem, like, most of the time when people talk shit, it's like, bro, your character is just coming out. Like, when you're negative and have something bad to say about everyone or find the negative in every situation, you got shit to deal with, man. You got stuff within you, and it's a freaking boom, red flag.
Yeah.
Like, anyone that's on a decent level of thinking will see that.
Yeah.
And I try not to be around that. And Yeah, and I get it. There's a difference between having this, confident, cocky attitude. That's one thing, but like, I feel like that having hatred, like true hatred and true like animosity against people you don't even know.
Yeah.
You got stuff to deal with.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and that to me is just like, it's fucking disappointing to see that in people, because it should be so obvious.
Yeah.
And I want to just finish the thought I was saying before about freedom, right? So like what my wife's friend dealt with, that's a total lack of freedom.
Oh, dude, that's scary, man.
That's
scary.
That is not freedom.
Isn't that scary? Like
but that's real.
Yeah, and that happens all around the world, right? It's not just one country. It's like that, right? Everywhere. It's a lot of countries.
You know where's not like that?
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
And Australia.
Yeah.
And New Zealand. Yeah. And these countries that follow the values. But like,
and they usually don't go after their own people here, but it's starting to kind of go down that path.
Yeah. But in comparison, so it's one of those things where, and that like my wife made that point, like as she's here, she's like, man, this is the most free country I've ever been in. So the first,
because she's traveled, she knows, she's experienced.
Well, she grew up in a communist country, like real legitimate communism.
Scary, man.
Vladimir Putin has been in power for over 20 years.
Yeah,
she was in like third grade when the president the last president of Russia got elected. She was in like third grade or something crazy. She's now a 30-year-old married woman. It is important to me that supplements I take are of the highest quality, and that's why for years now I've been drinking AG1. Unlike many supplement brands, AG1 conducts relentless testing to set the standard for purity and potency. Quality for AG1 isn't just a buzzword, it's a commitment backed by expert-led scientific research, high-quality ingredients, industry-leading manufacturing, and rigorous testing. I know I can trust what's in every scoop of AG1 because it's tested for 950 contaminants and banned substances, while the industry standard typically only tests for 10. I love that every scoop of AG1 includes probiotics, prebiotics, and digestive enzymes for gut support, rhodiola, and B vitamins for energy support. So if you want to replace your multivitamin and more, start with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs at drinkag1.com/gypsytales. Check it out.
I know. That's once again why I think buy the farm, shut the gate. But
I'm right there too.
But I don't know. I enjoy still being associated with the community of moto. That's why I keep going back to moto, and I feel like I could have went to the car thing, which I did for a while. I went to cars, but it just
the moto community felt
like more like home. It felt like more of my community, So I always end up going back there.
I feel the same way.
I don't know. I just feel like that was the most comfortable community,
I wonder whether it's just because we all like resonate with the feeling.
Yeah, that it gives you.
Yeah. We chase a thing, we chase a certain feeling that a lot of other people don't. And, if you ride moto, if you're shit like me, or if you've won X Games gold medals like you, we've all had crashes, we've had injuries, we've had our faith in moto tested, and we've come back. And, the friends that we've got, like there is a commonality between people in this sport. And I think you're right. Like there is an underlying, it's a family sport. Like I think about, moto, like me and my dad. Yeah. My dad's 60 something. We're still friends. Like he's like my friend. Yeah. Not my dad that I hang out with because he's my dad. Like the guy's actually my mate. Yeah. We go on moto trips together. We ride bikes together. Like there's something super wholesome in this sport that, it's family orientated, keeps families together for a long time.
Yeah, I agree. And I think touching on that, I feel like in America, I don't totally agree with the system that's been created that you raise your kids to go to school. Then if they're 18, they're an adult and they need to go. Yeah. Most countries around the world, the families stick together, right? And that seems to be the best formula, right? And there's still a lot of families in America that are like that, right? They all live in the same town, they all work together. I feel like that is the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
You know, if you can stay close to your family and keep them as your, you know, that is your crew, right? And you know, whether they, you know, they are the best, you know, influences or not, or whatever it is, it's your family, right? Like that is your crew. And I feel like in America they push really hard for separation of family, as far as like go to college, go start your own life, and I do believe in leave and cleave. I do believe in that. Like when you get married to your wife, that's your family, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like those families should all stick together and work together and live their life together. And that's my opinion on it. And I think you know, America kind of pushes the other way.
Yeah. I think that's like a natural result of capitalism.
Yeah.
You know, like
I think so.
I feel like I've thought about that a lot, eh?
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there's this money making machine.
Mm-hmm.
Like the free market capitalism, I think is the move. Like I don't think there's any way around that. Like you stay capitalist and it's free market and the best man wins. You know, like the best product wins, the best development.
It controls the market correctly.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not a monopoly. You know?
But I think there's a problem where, like, it's easier to sell. It's more profitable to sell to 5 individual people than one family, right? So you're literally making 5 times the money if you sell. Like, think about Uber, like, or just think about all the things. Like, everything now we pay for to keep our distance and to keep our time, and so like Uber Eats or Uber, like you get in a car to go somewhere. Like you don't need public transport. You don't go with your mum and dad. Your mum and dad don't drop you to the movies. You get an Uber, or like everything that we do it's kind of like individualism is very much rewarded in society because I think it's the most profitable way to do it. And for someone to have like their own interest, their own hobbies, their own fashion style, their own, all of those things, like you have to pay for those things. You know, you want to look different, you got to pay for that. You want to go to your own thing, you want to do your own sports, you're into your own thing. So I think that, there's like an element of like individualism that is extremely profitable for society.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You get to go create your own story. Where, you know, most places aren't like that. You'll file into a certain job, a certain system, and that's your life.
And like, I think about my circumstance, right? So like I'm in America, away from my family. And it actually only hit me when my wife went back. And I was like, last night, like I was saying, first time I've been alone in a year. And I was alone. And I'm there thinking like, fuck, I really am just away. Like now it's just me and I'm away from everyone. I haven't seen my family in a year. And it's for money. Like really,
job,
like it's because I'm trying to do my business. I'm trying to provide for my family. So I've just sacrificed all this time with my family. I don't think that that's like the government's necessarily breaking our you know what I mean? Like I don't know, like I fully know where my decision came from, and it's money. You know, and even my wife, what she would rather be in Australia. And I'm like, look, we can go to Australia, but a house we want to live in is fucking $2 million. And I don't have that. So like, what do we do? So you're almost like, you're forced away and you're forced to be individual. But when we stay in Dubai, there's like a whole, that's like a very Arab, like not Arabic, but like maybe like Muslim way of living is like the grandparents are in the same house.
Really?
Like everyone's in the same. They have these fucking big houses. They all live together. They all eat together. It's all still very, very, very family. All the grandparents are in the house.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I agree with that. You know, as I say, my mom's like 100% Mexican. You know, a lot of people don't know that because she left at a young age.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll show you some pictures of my family from Texas, and
wow, so they're from Texas.
Yeah, down by the border of Mexico.
Yeah,
and so yeah. Anyhow, that's how they lived.
Yeah.
Everyone was at the house. They're all like together as a family. It was very, very like everyone just stayed in there. You know, that town, or that, you know, literally that house. Like there was I think like 12 people lived in the one house, and very, very poor. And they had a big drum out front in the yard. That's where they cooked the meat and stuff in this 55-gallon drum. And I just remember like going there as a kid, and I used to love it. I thought it was so fun, you know, like the back door just like had no handle on. I remember it was just like, and then it's just dirt like all into the floors and everything. But I just remember it was like it cooked so good. Like grandma could like cook homemade tortillas and the beans and rice and all. I mean, I just remember the food was so good. So that was a complete different culture, you know. But I agree with that now that I'm a parent.
Yeah.
I agree with that the family's together and you guys all work together. You're a stronger unit that way.
Fuck
you know, everyone's a stronger unit working together. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've invested a ton in my kids so they can be successful. And I don't expect like, oh, you owe me or this return. It's just like, hey, work hard, give it your all. And as a community, we'll be stronger. Yeah. You know, that's what I thought with militia when we did the freestyle team. You know, through sports and all that, instead of being the individual, I'm like, hey, it's about the crew, about the group of dudes here and girls. Like it was this group, right? And it's just stronger that way. Like when I'm weak, you're strong. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that's how the game worked for me. Yeah. I feel like that.
But I think that's applies to society. Yeah. And we're talking about like downtown LA. Yeah. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Yeah. And that's the weakest link. Mm-hmm. And it's just on display. If you want to go and see the lowest level of society, just go to downtown LA. Yeah. So it's like, it'd be the same in your family, like your family's only as strong as the member that's struggling the most. Yeah. And it's like, you're in a family situation, like you got 3 kids. Yeah. If one of those kids is fucking struggling, all of your attention should go towards helping that kid. For sure. Yeah. And that's if America's a family, if it's one country and it's one nation, that's where the attention should go. Yes. It should go to the people that are suffering and struggling. Yeah. And you should raise those people up and create opportunity. You don't want to give them things. You don't want to enable things, but you need to get them in a place where they can actually take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah. Teach them a trade and get them on their feet and, get down the system. Imagine how many billions of dollars have been given away to other countries that could have fixed.
Fucking insane, bro.
Which tells me they don't want it fixed. Yeah. End of story. And with division, is much easier to control with division. It's like, think about it, because it couldn't be any more clear. Like, let's say my 2 boys, like when they're little age gap there, and the one would tell on the other, and it's just this system that happens, and eventually they realize, I'm not going to tell anymore. I'm kind of gonna
we can work together.
A little bit. You're like, oh, it's much harder to like control this situation now. Yeah, you don't think that's the same thing in this country?
That's a great example.
Yeah. And what tears you apart? What tears you apart the quickest? Like what separates you the quickest is tearing at your emotions and your anger. Yeah. If you can find something that makes you
what's
angry.
What's the button you can push?
Yeah. If you make this side angry against this side for whatever that thing is, and they've found many ways to do it, it will always keep it divided. You know. And now as a parent, I see that a lot.
That's such a great analogy.
I know. I was just thinking that earlier. I was laughing, going, "Man, this is really the system right here. It's like so easy and But I think us all getting along is up to us. Up to people will have to do it. It'll never be something that's created to be like, hey, let's all do this, and we're all gonna get together and be all cool with each other. Like, if the internet should have done that, but unfortunately, the guys running it. Keep turning.
Just turn the crank, and it's got to go gnarlier and gnarlier. But there's a problem playing that game, because at some point, the bubble bursts. Yeah, But it's funny. Like we've had a previous conversation where it's like, so if you know how all these people are going to act on the weekend or like in a certain situation, then it's a game now, and you've beat that level of the game. If you can like project how this person's going to act in the moment, you have agency over that person in a sense. Yeah. And it's like, how have people just not woken up and been like, you know what? I'm actually not going to get pissed off about a rainbow flag. You know what? Fuck it. I know what they're trying to do. Yeah. I know what they're trying to do. Fuck them.
I think it's about a lot of things.
There's a lot of things.
A lot of things like that. And they find, and you're just like, no. Yeah. I'm not buying it.
I'm out.
People have to understand, like, we're all humans. We're all, created equal. right? When you're a baby, it's like
you have nothing.
You just become
You don't even know what you are.
Yeah, so you take one baby and put it in a whole different environment or country that, that kid's going to grow up to whatever the product of that environment is.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that is, I just feel like, in America, it's just people have to, you want them to, just like higher level thinking and but I don't know. It's a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of times too, like when this is another kind of, I think this probably happens more on like the left side, is where it's so fucking hard to like stand out, and everyone wants to be special, right? Everyone wants to be
get noticed.
Yeah, and it's like really hard to stand out these days. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of noise, and so I mean, if you're a fucking dude, easy way to stand out is to be a chick and win a gold medal in swimming.
Like that's an attention thing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that, and there's a lot of people that will like join a cause and have a thing to fight for, or they'll be in a comment section every day and they'll like fight for these. Like there's even, there's people in fucking moto that are like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro, you're just a fucking loser with no life. Like that's what this is. Like you spend this much time doing this, saying these things because you actually have nothing else going on.
Yeah.
And
credibility is a hard thing to get, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to earn credibility. And that's why when someone speaks with credibility, you listen, usually. That's why I feel like with the comments, with the people saying things like, say, on the internet, if it comes from a credible source, which is usually, in my mind, an athlete that has been there and done that at our level, or and I'm like, okay, I'm going to respect his comment in time and listen to it and see what they say. It doesn't mean I'm going to agree with it. Doesn't mean I'm going to let it get me emotional or mad, because that is another game, to let people control your emotions, then they're in control.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, the guy's poke, says something that's upsets you. You're like, cool, that dude just played me. Like, he just played me like a fiddle, dude.
Yes.
And I'm like, I think that, and that sometimes frustrates people even more if they poke, and you're like, yeah, cool, dude. Like, they're like, oh, they get even more mad, right? And that's such a weird, road, to go down. So, but yeah, like I said, I've been there, done that. I've been that guy. So.
What? So your mom from Mexico, and
she's
then
from Texas.
Texas, and then married your dad, and then she lived in Nebraska with you and your dad, and then she left and went back to Texas. Basically, is that how that all went down? So then your exposure was like when you would go and like. Because that would be like stepping into a whole nother world. You would have had Nebraska world and then Texas world.
Yeah, completely different. Yeah. So, and then I was more raised with my mom because at a young age, my dad was at work. And she worked, part-time. But she really was the one I was around the most. And then when I was about 10 years old, I could tell they were arguing and this is that. And she ended up like going, I'm going back to Texas, And so that point, I had to make a decision, and I had the choice to go with her to Texas, and that was right when that was in 1985. It was right when I started racing.
Yeah, like, so you were choosing bikes basically.
Yeah, it was that. I just got my new bike, and I just started racing, and I know that sounds very like odd, like, oh, you'd choose a dirt bike over going with your mom, but I knew with my mom that they're very, very poor, and that I couldn't race. There's no way I was racing. I was done, And at that point, I saw, okay, if I stay here, I get to ride with my neighbor that takes me to the track every day, and it sucks. I'm super bummed my mom's leaving, but I can't control that situation. And I trust you. As a kid, I remember telling my mom and my dad, like, oh, I don't want you guys to divorce. And like, I did express that I didn't want that to happen. And why does this have to happen? Why are you leaving? And she never really at that time told me the truth. Either did he, that there was, another guy involved, and it was like some old past stuff, that got hung on to, And I never really got the truth on that.
Yeah.
You know, it was just
You wouldn't have
more-
understood it at that age anyway, probably.
No, I wouldn't. It just made me more mad.
I was going to say, you'd
Yeah.
have been more mad, probably.
And my dad did a good job raising us, but he also did a good job of mom is bad.
Mum is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, and that made me go, oh, okay, women are like this way. Like it made me really change my outlook on like the love and the affection of a woman or a mom. You know, for made me go, okay, that is bad. You know, and it made me hurt. I was sad, you know, but we are gonna move on. We're gonna be men. We're gonna, you know, do our thing, work hard, and we'll be fine. You know, and that was this whole reality around me that I was like, you know, my brother was like, you know, he was angry. He was more like, you know, man, I've heard it. Like, he was my older brother.
He was
you know?
older, probably. Yeah,
Older brother. He's
yeah,
probably like
yeah.
14, 15 at the time.
yeah.
And my sister, I think she was less than a year old.
Really?
Yeah, my sister. And
Did
so-
she go with your mum?
No, she stayed. Gnarly, huh? Like, yeah.
Fuck. So your dad raised
Yeah.
3 kids
Raised
with
3
a
kids.
1-year-old daughter.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And he had a full-time job. So my grandma had to come down and stay with us, which she helped. And she was tough, you know. Long story short, my dad had 11 brothers and sisters, and grandma on a corn farm in Iowa. And grandma, her husband, my grandpa, John, died at 45 with a heart attack.
Huh.
My brother was 13, or my dad was 13. He was the oldest boy. There was older girls in the family, but he was the man of the house then, at 13. And he had to like run the show, which still to this day, he's that way. He's a delegator. Like everything's like by the book business, you know, and write it down.
Very
and very serious.
yeah.
And so that's how he grew up. And she never got remarried. They raised the 12 kids on her own at the farm. And so
That's so gnarly.
dude, gnarly. Like people that don't like it's hard for. I know people can be like point fingers to this, that, like, but like I was around all this upbringing, and I thought it was normal. I thought, oh, this is just family, right? This is normal life,
yeah.
but we'd all get together as a family on the holidays at Christmas, and we'd all this big family. Like from grandma and grandpa. I just went to my family reunion 2 days ago. 10 years I have not seen, like, been around the whole family in 10 years. My fault, you know? But there's, dude, almost 200 people that have spawned from grandma and grandpa. They married in 1930.
Wow.
Gnarly. Like, I think of, like, this, like, it's just so many
Well, so
things.
they went through the war. They went
Yeah.
through everything.
Everything.
Great Depression.
All of it, yeah. So when my grandma was around, she died in 2014. And I remember because I brought Haiden with me to the funeral in Iowa, and he was right around 10 years old. And but she lived to like 95. So I used to sit around now that I was older and ask her questions, ask her about you know, life, and she'd always just say it's just one day at a time. Like you can't think further. Like in your life, just have to take everything one day at a time. And that was just her saying. But you know, my dad grew up in that environment, and then, you know, got married. I don't think they were a great match in the first place from now looking at it, you know?
Yeah.
And it was kind of destined for trouble. And so my dad wasn't really a drinker. He didn't really ever party. You could tell he was just like,
Just a
he would go to the
straight-laced
bar and
dude.
have one beer or something. And my mom always had a ciggy and a Coors Light. And she was like driving the Impala, dude. And we were like bouncing, jumping all over the car. You know, like she was just that rugged dude. You know, loved to go fishing and just like, I'm like, how did you two even like? It doesn't even make sense. My dad's like full business, and but she was very pretty when she was younger. Like I could tell at her pictures that she was a young girl, a young teenager, whatever, college student. I could tell she was probably in Nebraska or Iowa. This Mexican, very pretty. You know, and my dad was probably like, like we do, you know, and then boom,
We've all been there.
down that path, and you know, so and then it didn't turn out, so I dealt with that as a kid, and my dad did get remarried. He got remarried to Deanna, and she was really nice, super nice. She was a teacher, super nice, like Christian lady, and but she wasn't the one that led me down the path, but she did open my eyes to like, man, this lady's really nice.
Yeah.
You know, and totally different than what my mom was. She was like, you know, pretty straight laced, and this, that. But once again, that marriage didn't work out. But my dad had 2 kids, Mark and Alex, my brothers with her.
Yeah.
And that marriage didn't work. I still talk to Deanna. She's super cool, like super nice. I wish it would have worked because she was, but like my dad says, damn women, and I worked, I supplied, and I'm like, Dad, man, I wish I could explain to you like what you did wrong, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, man.
The ship's probably sailed.
Yeah.
It's fucking so hard.
Yeah.
I've been married for a year.
Yeah.
It's fucking very hard to be investing in your business and investing you have to be. I said this on the podcast a couple days with Pat Evans actually, to where I was like, I basically spent my whole 20s trying to fix the problem that was in my life, and then expected that was going to be it. And I'm like, all right, I just got this one problem, and then I'm fucking free and clear, and I can just enjoy my life. And it's just not how it is. Like every single thing that you do takes so much investment if you want to do it at a high level.
Yeah.
And you've just got all these things in your life.
Yeah.
For me, I have like my family, I have my wife, I have my business, I have relationships with important people, relationships with myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to put in so much effort to just, and I'm like not killing it.
Yeah. So you plan on having kids or?
Yeah. At some point, yeah. But it's just like the effort that it takes to have a good marriage.
Yeah.
The effort that it takes to be a good man.
Yeah.
The effort that it takes to be a good friend. Like life is fucking gnarly.
Yeah. That's
it's a full-time job.
Life's hard, man.
Yep.
That's why I'll tell people like life's not easy. Like you can do your best. I think the busier you are, the better. It's just a system. Better off you're gonna be.
Yeah.
If your life's like you're not busy at all and you have nothing to do.
Well, you're not.
I don't know.
You're not trying. Then.
Yeah. I don't think you're.
And it's like not to like speak for your dad, but it's like he probably just didn't put the effort in like certain places with maybe the new wife.
I never heard emotion. I never heard I love you. I never saw date nights. I never saw like romance.
Yeah.
Ever. So. I learned from that. My dad, and I love my dad. He's taught me a lot of great things.
Yeah.
Right? He taught me to be a business guy and how to work hard and, a lot of good traits. But as far as love and emotion and partnerships, marriage, I do not ask him for advice on that.
Yeah.
That's just common sense, and that's what, blows my mind. Like when people, even like say my kids go to people for advice that have never produced results in that category that you're trying to get advice for.
Yeah.
Okay. So common sense. Let's go to the people that have been there and done it.
Yeah.
And so, and that's been my goal by surrounding my family with people that are been there and done it, people that we want to learn from. My whole life is about learning.
Yeah.
Like I love learning. I'm still learning. That's my goal. Like I love learning. I love studying things. A lot of times you'll see me writing. I have
you got your notebook. I saw you put
pages and pages of notes, dude.
Just started a new one the other day.
Yeah, and it's facts. If you write it down, you will remember it up to a certain more percentage. But my dad taught me that. Always take notes, and who's like Hayden's really good at that.
Yeah.
Like
he's got a journal.
After the races, he journals. He does his notes, and I feel like something he learned from watching me and watching Mom. Mom's very, very good at it. She doesn't miss a beat. Everything's cataloged and filed, and like she'll be like, "Oh, this date you did this. Get the files." And I'm like, "Dude, it's like so." I'm not like to that extent, but he learned from us. He learned from
the
example.
Yeah.
And schooling, going to school. That's what it teaches you too, is how to write things down. Right. That's what you learn in school. Schools, there is good things and bad things about the school system, but that it was a good thing. So anyhow, he's very good at taking notes. Where Hudson's more of a free spirit. He's more just like, cool, like wants to just have fun and doesn't take it much serious. The only thing he takes serious is cooking and fishing.
Which
like
is fun.
Fine, cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it because it's new for me.
Yeah.
And he's very serious about the foods and how he cooks and what he eats and how it tastes. And I'm like, it's opened my eyes to it.
Yeah.
And I thought, cool. Something we will always do. That's a business that will never go away.
Yeah.
Pretty safe to say, food. It's nice, good industry, right?
Yeah.
And if we wanted to turn the switch on that, we would turn the switch on that, right? But as of right now, the switch is on moto. So,
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, why doesn't Hudson ride? He got hurt really bad a year ago, and people know this, but it's a lot of times I have to remind. And he crashed and crushed his thoracic spine at Cahuilla one day. Fell and landed on his head on those those walls they have at Cahuilla.
Yeah.
And he slid and hit his head on it. It wasn't a big crash; it was right behind him. And he's like swapped and it was like we're out. And it was just
one of those bad ones.
It fell and right into his head, and crushed 4 vertebrae in his spine. Swelling, hematoma, pushed his spinal cord in, like pushed it all the way in. And then, fortunately, he wasn't losing feeling, thank God. But we went right to the ER, right to the surgeon, to Radies in San Diego. And they were like, 24-hour watch. Neurosurgeons were like, we're gonna go in and have surgery if he starts losing feeling. And they said, and then after 20, that was the gnarliest 24 hours. Like we sat up all night, and he's in this bed with this mount, like holding him still, and the camera like watching his back. And I'm like, man, I was just like praying, like, please God, don't let this, I don't want to have him have surgery. And then once that went 24 hours, the neurosurgeon came in the morning. Like we didn't sleep at all. And basically the swelling started going down. So it was relieving pressure off the spine, on the cord. And they said, okay, we're out. Like the neurosurgeons were out. They said, but now you have the ortho guys. And if that spine is curved and doesn't hold structure, he needs to get pins all the way down. And I'm like, really? I go, can we get those out like in the future, like once his back's structured? And they're like, no, those are for life. Yeah. And I'm like,
it's like essentially fusing his back.
Fusing it, yeah. 4 vertebrae. And I'm like, really? I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I go, what can we do besides that? And they said, well, we'll put him in a turtle shell, and all the neck, whole shell, and it will hopefully form them where we want them.
It's like a cast for a spine.
Yeah, people have to understand, though, a spine is bones that are not connected.
Yeah.
They're connected by tissue.
Yeah.
So when those bones get pushed out of line, they don't go back in line. They don't just like a broken arm or collarbone fuse back together through calcium and and bone marrow. But it's anyhow, they put him in the turtle shell, and I'm like, we'll take that. Let's try that before surgery. So he went 3 months with the shell on, which was misery. And we set up a video game screen for him where he had to lay flat, or sit straight up. And he would just sit and play the game, which to him, he was happy to get to play because we don't really let him play the game a lot at all. So he got to play the video games for months. And then we took him back to the surgeons on the East Coast, and they're like, I don't know, they're still questioning and this, that, because his back was has this little curve in it, like a hunchback curve. And so we took him to the sports doctor in San Diego, X Games guy. It deals with football players. And he looked at the x-rays, checked them out, and basically grabbed his turtle shell and threw it in the trash. He said, dude, he's fine. And he's like, we see this, this is injuries that happen in sports, and he'll recover, he'll be fine. And the other doctors are saying he's done. He'll never do active sports again where he can take a hit. If he takes the wrong hit again, it's going to be bad. And, because of the structure. And this other sports doctor was like, hey, he's going to be fine. You guys go live a normal life, go do your thing. But for me, that was like wake up call. You know what I'm saying? When you look at your kid and you're like, man, dude, this was almost like a second chance, And I'm like, it was a very, very, very tough moment, and still is, to look at him and go, man, this was, if I didn't bring dirt bikes in his life, if I didn't do this, if I didn't do this, just if. And I just said, you know what? I have to let him pursue the other things he likes, which was fishing, cooking, and the other things. And he still asked a little bit, hey, I want to go ride. I'm like, dude, okay. I let him ride pit bikes and let him, enjoy riding 2 wheels. But I'm like, as far as racing, intense racing, because that's another level. I'm like, I don't think we're there yet. I think, maybe as you mature and you feel like, yes, I am ready to take it serious and not, because when he rides, he's crazy. Pin it and I'm like, dude, calm down, feet here, arms here, brake, and he's over his head, I just wants to go aggro mode, and I'm like, I can appreciate that a little bit.
I respect it.
But
we're not doing it.
No, but I'm at the hospital at least once a year with a major injury.
Yeah.
And so that's why. Like people ask, why not? Why this? And as a parent, I just had to make the call and go, hey, dude, we got to take a break for this.
Yeah.
You know, and I know it's part of the sport. It's the part I hate the most is the injuries. I hate it. You know, and but it's that risk. And like I said, he still rides a pit bike. Maybe in the future, and I think it's a big bike thing. I think you know maybe it's a 125 or a bigger bike, big wheels, suspension, where it's just a safer bike, right?
And a bit more power to have to respect as well.
Yes, I feel like mini bikes are very twitchy, sketchy. They're just I don't know. I feel like you got to be really good to ride a mini bike fast, you know, and so that's just kind of my thought on it, you know, or maybe not, maybe it won't be. But my thing was, I want him to know how to ride a motorcycle. So, you know, in life, if we're like, hey, let's go to the
it's a
mountains
great skill,
and go trail riding.
Yeah.
Let's go to the mountain and ride snow bikes.
Yeah.
Let's go, you know, let's go to this island and go have a tour and go ride, you know, and he can do it.
Yeah.
You know, let's go get some street bikes or let's go get some Harleys. Let's go, you know, I don't know. Like, and be able to experience that with him.
Also, that have to be, like, you've seen how hard it's been for Haiden in a sense with, like, to follow in your footsteps and create his own path, and then he's going to do that. Imagine if Hudson had to go through that same process, but be the third one. Like, at some point, you're not going to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the
know?
brother thing works really well.
Oh, for
you
sure.
know? And imagine if Hudson was good enough, he could jump on. I'm sure the Star would give him a tryout at least. Yeah. You know, and you know, two brothers racing is works out. It works, right? Is it a lot of more work? Yes. You know, is it more work? 100%. You got the double the odds of shit going wrong. You know? And so, but I highly respect the families that can do that. It's a lot. It's a lot. You don't understand how bad my heart races. Like when I watch my kids race, like my heart races, dude. And I like the last race, whatever it was at Mount Morris, where Haiden fell and he's like coming from behind, and I love the part of like being gritty and going and not giving up and just. But dude, he's a hauling ass on the edge, dude. Right? Like he's pushing hard, and I think he's getting more comfortable with that. But obviously, he's going as fast as he can. Yeah, coming through the pack because that's just the mode he was in. My heart, I just remember like telling Marisa, I'm like, dude, my heart was beating out of my chest. And I'm like, I wish I wouldn't do that. Like, I wish I didn't feel like that. Like, I wish I could be more calm. But I just, maybe because I've been there and done that, you know, and been in those bad situations.
You know the hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And that's a part I really can't stand about the sport. And I think a lot of people, unless you've ridden a dirt bike and been there and done that, it's a level that's very scary at times, you know? And I think a lot of people miss that when they watch these guys every weekend and see that during the week, they're hauling ass all week and they're hauling ass on the weekends. Do you understand? They're all on the edge. You know what I'm saying? It's a very, very risky sport. I mean, the respect they should get just for that, even the 40th place guy, like the respect they should have that they're out there doing that and you're at home watching, okay? That's two different things going on right there. And for you to even talk shit on those dudes at all for anything blows my mind, dude. You know, it does. You know, I'm just like, dude, you don't understand. Like, what they're doing is very, very difficult. Yeah. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of commitment. Usually more than 99.whatever% at home doesn't have. Yeah. So I think there should just be a level of respect in general, you know, for that. Yeah. But anyhow, that's just...
Man, Jett's crash at Hangtwon was such a good example of like how fast he's actually going.
Yeah, scary, man.
Because he makes it look so easy and so smooth and so controlled at all times. And he made one mistake and it was like an explosion of a crash. Yeah. And Hayden's was similar. Yeah. Like he just helicopters through the air and you're just like, Jesus. Was it in the same section?
No.
It was a different, the next bit over.
Yeah, it was the next few lanes. Yeah. And like Hayden's was kind of a funky bounce, and in his rear wheel, I'm like, dude, why did you whip it over the bump, the braking bump? And he's like, oh, I was just scrubbing. I said, you're scrubbing the braking bump? I'm like, that's higher level than I can think. So maybe you were. I don't know. Like that's something I would never do. You know, I'm like,
is that necessary?
Yeah. And so he scrubbed it, and what it did was allow his rear wheel not to touch the bump, and it missed the bump, which allowed the rear wheel to keep coming around.
It just floated.
It
Yeah.
floated and made
Yeah.
it a 180, you know? And, but yeah, things can go wrong so quick. And with Jett, his crash, I mean, he just misjudged that jump. I don't know if misjudged it, but just didn't get the pop or the grip he needed to clear it. And had a gnarly crash, you know? And to me, I don't want to ever see that. I don't care who it is. And dirt bikes, I don't want to see anyone crash bad. Like that's the part of the sport I just don't like, you know? And so, you know, I'm glad he got up. I'm glad he's okay. Like, I don't want to see anyone get hurt. That's the part of the sport that just makes it a bummer, dude. You know, and then people are like, oh, he just broke his leg, just another, you know, just broke this, and like it's no big deal. It's like, nah, dude, that's a big deal. Like for these guys to get hurt, and it's just such a common thing in the sport. It's just like, oh, he's out for the season. Like, oh, I think a big crash is coming with this one. Like, dude, shut up, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you must not ride, dude. When people say dumb shit like that, I don't know. Some of the stuff I hear or see, I just kind of like trip on it, but I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm just gotta let the fly over my head and keep doing our thing and enjoying it, you know? Like, I do get nervous as a father, but I do enjoy it more than I get nervous. You know, like I enjoy the moment, enjoy the result, enjoy the work ethic.
Well, you're both working on it together too. I mean, I know for a bit more behind the scenes, like just the work you put in.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a team behind Haiden.
Yeah.
You know, there's when he, it's not like when he wins, you wins, but like in a way he does, you know, like
it's a team.
Yeah, it's a team.
Yeah.
Like you guys, you're working for him like 10, 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
Just trying to make sure that he's got what he needs, leaving no stone unturned, and you know, making it happen.
Yeah. So and that's a whole nother deal. But yeah, I agree. It's think of the guys winning right now. Would they be where they're at without their support team around them? Like, would they have made it to where they're at? No, there's no way, dude. You know, there's so many pieces to the puzzle. And I have a lot of people text me, oh, you know, like old promoters or old track guys or old mechanics or engine or suspension guys. Oh, Haiden did great this weekend. I'm like, dude, you were a part of that.
Yeah.
You know, like it may have been 5-10 years ago, but that day we came to your track and you let us ride and you prepped the track and you made it muddied and ruddy and you made it how we wanted it so we could get better. Like, you're all part of that. Like, you're all part of this success. And that's what I try to tell people. There's so many pieces to the puzzle and it takes so many people to make it happen, you know, and to be one of the best, I feel you have to travel, you have to experience, you have to go learn from the best, and not just one person. I feel like the best guys to be the highest level have to learn from not them all, but a good shot at it. You know, like the more the better. And I you know, people are like, you overwhelm them, or you basically you're confusing them, or you know, it's too much. Like, I'm like, I don't think so. I think when you have a high level learner, a high level athlete, they're on another level. It's hard for you even to comprehend because stuff's coming at them so fast,
and they can process it.
And they can process it. They can process it. Yeah, and the human body and brain can go so much higher than what we put it at.
Yeah.
Look at these guys who run 200 miles, like David Goggins. Like, look at this guy. You think like he can do things that unhumanly you don't think can happen, right? Like, it's not possible. But so in moto, these guys are true athletes. They're at 180, 200 heart rate for 30 minutes or more in the heat. It's brutal. You know what I'm saying? They're gnarly athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's the sport. I was talking to Weigan about this the other day, and he's like, think about how unique moto is for like the parental involvement at a high level.
Yeah.
Like, it's very unique that parents are as involved as what they are. But like, you don't see it in football, you don't see it in, and there's like one or two coaches that have kids that play, but like, it's very, very unique to moto, that you can actually have such an impact in terms of like being like, you have a team headset, like Dazzy has like a lot of input with Honda, like factory Honda literally thanks that guy, which is crazy. Like,
it's a rare deal.
It's
rare. Unfortunately, most of the parents beforehand have made it a hard road.
Yes.
Right? And so, but there is those rare occasions that you have, no one's going to care more for you than your dad.
Yeah.
And your mom. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like at the racetrack, no one's going to have your back more than your dad. Like, and sometimes that dad needs to get out of his own way. I see that, you know, and there's always those instances where you need to back up and say, hey, let the guys handle it. Let him handle it. Let the kid handle it. As they mature and you kind of have the training wheels on, right? And you kind of take the training wheels off.
Because they're just a kid at that point.
Just a kid. They're still kids, man. These kids are like, they're still kids until I feel like you're 21. That's like when I started becoming kind of an adult.
Bro, I was like 20 fucking 7.
Yeah, right?
Like, really?
Yeah, when you're actually becoming a mature man.
Someone that can think properly.
Yes.
And like look at my own life and look at my... It was around 27 when I actually could really objectively look at the issues in my life and point the arrow back at myself.
Yeah.
To the areas that needed to be fixed, you know?
And look at that in the 450 class. When did these guys become, like you're saying, self-thinker men?
Yeah.
It's about 25 to 28.
Yeah.
It's about the time they become like their own thinker, bike setup, you know, race training and their health. And that's about
just their body.
Their bodies become the man about that time. Yeah. You know, like saying with Haiden, he's just now, he's still growing. Yeah. Like he's not even like he like gained 5 or 10 pounds in the last 6 months. Like he, you know, of muscle and height, and he's, you know, like his shoe sizes are changing. Like his waist size is, dude, he's still growing. He's still like a kid,
literally a kid
growing into a man's body, you know. And I think a lot of people don't see that. They see like, oh, this adult racer, and it's like, bro, these are still kids in the lights class. Yeah. Like, you know, majority of them.
Some of them.
Yeah, but there's still.
There's a few with kids.
Yeah, I know, but yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
No, I wish people would take that more into consideration, and I think it's when people don't have kids, maybe, or they haven't been through that process and realize an 18-year-old is still.
An 18-year-old.
An 18-year-old. Yeah, and they're going to do 18-year-old stuff. And I think that was great comment by Cody Shock that one time when he's like, yeah, 18-year-old doing 18-year-old things. You were correct, yes. Yeah. Like, you think I'm this guy over in my pit going, mad at everything and like, oh, that guy is an idiot. And this guy, there's a lot of times I'm like, yeah, they're right. Like, I try hard to be a neutral. Of course, you're always going to back your family, right? Yeah. But I try to like be a neutral sounding board, and you know, and if the kids ever go off and like, oh, if this, well, you know, not saying something bad about someone or a situation, and if I feel like they're wrong, like I'll be like, dude, no, like.
Have you had any of that yet?
I think so. Yeah, I've had those conversations with the boys, with my daughter, you know, and they're tough conversations, you know, to where I'm like, you know what, and I usually wait for. Timing,
the right time
is everything, right?
Yeah,
Timing's everything. You'll learn that as a father, as a husband first.
Timing, I learned that. Yeah.
Timing's everything, right? Yeah. Because one question can be so much better at a different time. Yeah. You know, and so that's what I try to do with the kids is find the right time and in the right way too. Sometimes I'll find something off the internet or find a cool storyline or coaching deal off the internet or a motivational thing and like, hey, check this out. And then I'll explain like my twist on it, you know? And, you know, I follow every motivational page. I follow every like positive role model thing because there's nothing new under the sun. Everything I'm doing is probably already been done. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Except probably freestyle motocross when we created it. Yeah, you know? Yeah. Like most everything that's been said is been already done by a father years ago. Yeah. Right? Didn't you notice that? So the one thing I do on the internet, like when I scrolling, like most people do, I scroll. And then when I start seeing when I see the same thing twice, the first time, I force myself to go, I'm done, shut it off. When I see the same thing twice, I'm like, done. Like, I don't need to sit here and be repeatedly looking at the same crap over and over. That's my one out that I try to make myself get off. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So, I don't know.
I don't do the app anymore.
Really?
I log in on my laptop.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't trust, I don't trust myself. Yeah. Like, it's just too easy. It's too easy to just waste 20 minutes. Yeah. I can run 5Ks in 25 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. So to say like it, I was noticing days where I didn't run, but or didn't go to jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
but I'd have like an hour and a half worth of fucking screen time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that's a 5K run and a
Like-
training
You're
session.
like, oh, it's my job.
And
But,
I just, and I'm so lucky. Like, we actually have a dude that does our socials now,
Yeah.
and he's fucking amazing. Like, he's so good.
yeah.
And it's taken the biggest, like, weight off my shoulders to
Mhm.
where, like, I don't have to post anymore. I don't
Yeah.
have to, like, because that would be the excuse.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd say to my wife, I'm like, hey, like, I think you should delete this off your phone.
Yeah.
It's just way too easy. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you got too much free time to be
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah.
And then she did it, and it was like a massive
I agree.
difference, you know. And then I stayed with it on my phone because I was like, oh, I got to post for work.
Yeah.
And then we had our new guy come on the team and just crush it. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know what, this actually is my
Yeah.
time. But I still look and I still go reply to comments. I love replying to DMs.
Yeah.
I like if you send me a genuine message, I will do my best to reply
Yeah.
with a genuine message. You
Yeah.
know, so that part is still important to me.
Mhm.
But it's just the fucking scrolling, dude.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just so hard
Yeah.
to not get caught like really scrolling.
No, because they get what you like, and they
Yes.
feed you what you like all day.
The
so of course,
smartest people in the world are making you stay on that phone.
yeah. So you're constantly just seeing what it's not what everyone else is up to. It's just like new, what's happening.
Yeah.
And the news has to happen quick and fast, and that's what I was thinking too. And that's a bad habit I have too. But like putting the phone down, I'll make myself do that where I'll plug it in, put it away in my room, put it in the drawer, shut it, and be like, I'm done with that for now. It's the only way I can go focus and go get stuff done. If I have my phone on me, like constantly, dude,
Yeah.
I'll ring, ding, ding, like constantly going. I have to put it away
Yeah.
to get really like focus and get stuff done. And I probably should implement that more with the kids too. Like, well, Hudson doesn't even really get a phone. He does part-time, you know. But you know, with Haley and Haiden, we just really didn't like want them to have phones at a young age. You know, I feel like that's something we allowed later, you know, in life, and still struggled with that. I didn't see a big bonus like in that. You know, we still let them like, hey, here's the phone. You can go on, do some posts or check this out. But as far as like, hey, here's access to the world and everything that you shouldn't see, like we've held off on that for a long time.
Yeah.
You know?
It's fucking toxic, man.
Yeah.
Eh? Like, even for me, like reading comments,
Yeah.
you know, like,
No, for sure, yeah.
because I'm always in our YouTube studio
Yeah.
app, like looking at.
But
where
YouTube
we're-
is a good community, right?
It-
if
it
you want to
is, for the
explain
most part,
communities, I
yeah.
think Twitter's the worst, negative.
Yeah.
Then you go down to Instagram, Facebook there. I don't, you know, it's kind of
I don't even
old.
think Facebook's a real thing anymore.
yeah, I
Dude,
don't even.
It's
Yeah.
like, what
I
is-
post on there, but I don't like. That's not my community so much.
Yeah.
I feel like that's older community still. Like there was MySpace and then Facebook.
Yeah.
And then you have Instagram is kind of where I live the most, I would say. And then, which is kind of that random age demographic that we're in. And then you have, you know, Snapchat is getting big or is big. That's where a lot of focus is going now. So I'm gonna start focusing on that more.
Yeah.
And
You can make crazy money on
I
that,
know,
eh?
dude. Yeah, dude.
I heard people making like. I heard there was like an article, David Dobrik making 30 G's a day.
Yeah, no problem. He quit. It sounded like you moved from YouTube over to
Well, he kind
Snapchat.
of got like cancelled in a sense.
Yeah,
He had like that bad issue
Yeah,
with
bad
that
issue.
Jeff Wittick dude.
yeah.
Yeah. And then he went to Snapchat and started making crazy money.
Yeah. And I know the yes. I know the like Haley and Haiden and them. Yeah, yes. They do very well on Snapchat.
Oh, so is Haiden monetized on there?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's
fuck.
18. He monetized on all of it. Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah, that's all, dude. Real estate money.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
bro. His first money he made, he went and bought a rental at the beach.
That's so sick.
Right?
eh?
I said, bro, if you can have, let's just say 5 rentals in the next 5 years, like let's say it's 10 rentals by the time you retire, like nice houses that are renting, you own them, you're laughing, dude.
Yeah.
I go, you're gonna be in such a great spot. I go, you're gonna be so good, like 30 years old, it'll come before you know it. And you'll just have a grasp on life of just like what's next.
You just
Like,
have a bit of freedom.
bit of freedom. That's what those paper things are. They're freedom tickets. You're just free to do whatever you want, you know? And
Yeah.
that's
So whereabouts did he get a spot?
Down the beach, down by the Panhandle. There, where it's closest to Tallahassee. It's like the prettiest beach in the Gulf of Mexico. There, like the Destin Beach area.
Yeah,
I didn't even know it existed until I went to Florida a couple years ago, and we drove down there like, what? This place white, like sand beaches, real clean beaches, and the water's crystal blue and warm, and I'm like, just like the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, all the country music people live here. This is kind of their hidden like spot, you know. And then of course prices went through the roof the last 3 or 4 years, but we ended up buying a lot down there, you know, and we're building a home. And I feel like we ended up finally getting rid of our house in California, which is
I can't believe you did that.
so difficult. But what were we gonna do with it? Like literally, what were we gonna do with it? Just reminisce on it, like. You know, we don't have that type of money just to leave homes chilling. Right?
Yeah, I know, but like when you said you sold that, I fucking couldn't believe it. It's just because it's historic, you know. And like we went, I'd been there before, but I'd never been like in the house, and I'd never like seen the house. Yeah, and that was just crazy. But
very beautiful. Yeah. That was my first big home. We paid for it as I made money in freestyle. We would like build the house, then the shop, then the pool.
So you just built it?
Yes. Oh. Yeah. That was just a dirt lot. You know, so we were looking at homes or looking at for lots in Temecula to have some land so I could build tracks and ride. Yeah. And so we found that lot out there, and those lots, they're 5-acre lots, and they were going for like, I don't know, at the time it was like $250 a lot for 5 acres. And then there was a big 20-acre spread with all the trees, and trees are very rare in California to get. Like there's a eucalyptus.
Yeah, because you had eucalyptus there.
Yeah, massive
trees. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, who owns this lot? This is the best lot in the whole area. I'm like, but it wasn't.
And it's way at the end.
It's at the very end, butted up to the farmer's land that's lived there forever, never gonna sell. So I said, well, it's not for sale. Then my wife's creative. She's like, okay, we're gonna write a letter. So she wrote a letter, found out who owned it online, and wrote a letter like, we're interested in your lot, and the lady wrote back. And she was an older lady that just owned the lot, lived up in Riverside or whatever. And she's like, I go, would you be interested in selling it? This is where we want, I want to start a family, and this is what we're gonna do. And she said, okay, make me an offer. So based on that 20 acres, we offered her the cost of 2 5-acre lots. So we were going to get the 1 5-acre lot next door that we thought and that was a stretch for me at the time. And with the house build and everything. So we were like, she's like, okay, I'll sell it for that price. And I'm like, whoa, dude. Okay, now we got to figure out how to do this, right? Yeah. You know, we got to figure out how we're going to get this money and build this house. And I said, whatever, we're going to make it happen. And so, you know, I feel like a man does his best when you push him.
Put it back against the wall.
Back against the wall. And so we, figured it out, paid her, bought the land. You know, next thing it was, we built the house and built from there. And it was the sickest property, dude. The best lot.
It's so beautiful.
And so we had, you know, great memories, Supercross, Motocross, freestyle, foam pits, all the life of, you know, and no one ever effed with us, ever. No. Like, we had 1,000 horsepower race trucks going in our yard, like, for hours. And my neighbor, Bill Wilson, who's a winery owner, he loved it. He was like, oh, let's go. Because they're partying all night.
Next door. Ah.
Yeah, he owned the lots down the street. And all the wineries were cool with us because they partied on Friday and Saturday night with the bands.
Yeah, so you didn't leave. You didn't fuck with them. No. They didn't fuck with you.
It's all good. And in California, I'm like, bro, I do not care what you do.
Yeah,
like, don't F with me. I don't F with you. And cool.
Yeah.
Go do your thing. You know, and that's how I've always been as a neighbor. But we do have loud machines going, right? Like dirt bikes and race trucks. So anyway, very fortunate on that. But the life took us to North Carolina for Haley's Racing, NASCAR. And then Hayden's, you know, we built this ultimate compound in North Carolina. We bought
it looks so good.
Well, we bought a ranch there. We bought a ranch, a barn-dominium, big white house. And I built a dirt oval track there. I built a Supercross track. I built an outdoor track. Me and Sonny, my brother-in-law, Leonti, and he's a track builder now. His first time driving tractors were my tractors as a kid. Destroyed a lot of shit, but now he's a legit track guy, you know. And either way, we, like I said, built all that, and then in North Carolina, because I thought that was gonna be our home base. That was in Mooresville by Lake Norman.
Yeah.
And I thought home base, and then that was right when Haiden was 250B, and then he was going pro, and I'm like, man, we got to go check out these teams, and you got to try the different bikes and kind of see what you think, and that's kind of when we went on this tour to kind of decide where we wanted to end up. And then after really going to the goat farm, and Haiden rode that star bike, and it was just like, dude, this is it. He's like, we have to be on this bike. And Hayden's, we all know he always had the best equipment, the best bikes, right? Because that was me. I wanted that. I didn't have that as a kid. So he was used to having the best of the best as far as engines and suspension. And so I'm like, we have to be on that bike. Because obviously that bike was the elite, right? And so we, let's buy a house in Tallahassee. Here we go. And I'm like, we just built the compound in North Carolina. That was like the ultimate. And we're like, oh, guess we're gonna have to sell it. So we ended up just selling that house, and it ended up going to a NASCAR guy who bought it, and I was kind of bumming because it was just so sick. It was like, I think it was like 50 acres, totally had its own water source, rivers flowing, fresh streams. I was like, if we ever shut the gates, this is the spot.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And once I was kind of bummed when we had to let that one go, because it was just this, like, I like felt so secure as a dad there, for the family, and I figured, plenty of room for everyone to come, right? It was plenty of room for multiple houses and all kinds of stuff.
Because that's the move, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I could do my ideal life, I'd buy like 300-400 acres backed up on a state forest somewhere, and I'd have a house there for my mum and dad. I'd have a house there for my brother.
100%.
I'd have a house there for my sister.
Yeah.
And I'd have a house there for me and my wife and
100%.
my family.
Yeah.
And we'd all just live.
Yeah.
Everyone would be far enough away from each other that you couldn't fucking see each other. You couldn't you lived in your own
some
zone.
gardens
Yeah.
and
But that was like that's the dream.
100%. And a water tower and the gardens and fresh food. But to not to go off on this tangent, but my business idea that I've had, and I've talked to a few people that could probably pull it off with me. I think the ultimate idea that's going to happen eventually, if it hasn't happened already, is a community that you build. It's multiple houses. It's got its own school. It's got everything in this community. It's your own community. Your own hospital, your own grocery, your own gardens, self-sustained community. And it has full military security. Like you go through a gate, the gate shuts. It's got, maybe retired, gnarly special forces dudes that are hired, and they literally guard the community. And so it is this, say you're a man that has a lot of, you're a good business owner, bunch of money, but you don't know how to shoot a gun. You don't know how to defend. You're not that type of man, right? You're your business guy.
You're a bitch.
Yeah.
You're a rich
well,
bitch.
whatever, you know
You're
what
a
I'm
rich
saying?
bitch.
So you can pay
to
have everything you really need if
the shit
goes down. You're in this badass community that's self-contained and it's guarded by gnarly dudes. And I'm telling you, if someone wants to go in on this business idea, I'll partner with you, because I think it would be sick. And your HOA is, I don't know, a couple $100,000 a year or something. Your dues for living there, probably even more than that. But I'm saying, to pay how gnarly this place would be. And your kids go to this private school taught by people that all want to be in this community. It's all like-minded people that all have the same beliefs. All this. Basically, you're creating your own little country. Within these walls. And people, it's a cult. No, it's not. What I'm saying is, it's a safe community that you live in.
Yeah.
And that's it. And
You're describing Texas in the
before it's involved.
Dude, I'm reading this book at the moment, and it's all about the rise and the fall of the Comanches.
Yeah.
You're just describing Texas.
Yeah.
Back when Texas,
days of the Alamo.
Yeah, Austin and Dallas, and that was at one point, that was the frontier. That was America.
Yeah.
They started in New York and they just went west. And for 40 years, bro, they could not go past Texas because of the Comanches.
Okay.
Those motherfuckers were so gnarly, bro. And so there was this one family. They came from Vermont. There was 18 of them, and they literally built a fort.
Yeah.
And they were like super fucking nonchalant about it, right? So they basically, it was 18 of them, like the brother-in-law, the mum, the dad, like all of them, right? They went there, and the government, like Texas government, just gave them land as far, they're like, as far out as you want to go, like you put the flag there, and then we'll give you, it was like 3,000-4,000 fucking whatever it was, right? And then they built this fort out of sticks and like trees, and then they lived out there. And they were there for a while. The Comanches ended up coming in and raiding that whole place, right? Because they just left the gates open. They were just fucking chilling out there, dude, fully on their own. They ended up getting fully raided by the Comanches. Started this like 40-year war with the Comanches, and then once the Comanches basically surrendered, that let the frontier keep going.
Okay.
So like you're literally describing a 2024 version of that. But I mean, it sounds like a fucking pretty good place to live.
Yeah.
Think about the way that kids would grow up too. And especially having
and the schools teach hunting, fishing.
I was going to say, like when you're around those like real men and you have those like real men skills, fuck, your life's different.
Yeah.
Like the guy that you're explaining, like the rich, successful business, he's like an accountant.
Yeah.
Never put up a tent.
Yeah.
Never shot a gun. Like the difference between like that guy.
But they would have to be on the same page as far as beliefs. They couldn't be in this left field of like, you know, and then they corrupt the community, right?
Yeah.
So that would be, and if you did, I guess you just have to like, you get the HOA would be like, yeah, dude, you broke the rules.
Well, you just wouldn't be out. You probably just wouldn't. A place like that wouldn't appeal to you, you know. But I think like a place like that probably comes from circumstance, and I think a lot of people would ditch some of their, because like how many people really believe in the shit that they're saying, and how many of them are saying it because they're trying to toe the line, and it's good for business. Or it's like, I was listening to a thing today where they're talking about like Israel and Palestine, right? And it's like, so if the Jews run Hollywood and they're Israel, why isn't every famous actor coming out against Palestine? Everyone just stays quiet.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, well, I don't want to rock the boat. I think so many people have the views that they have just because it's what the people around them, the people in their industry think. You know, there's so much of that shit going on. But I think if like a place like that existed, it would probably be because you kind of needed a place like that. And I'm sure the whoever with the crazy lefty fucking beliefs would probably drop a lot of those beliefs quickly if the shit hit the fan.
To get with the necessities of life.
Because they'd be like, oh, I do need protection.
Just explain the whole MO in America now, that it's become so easy way of life that they're finding all this other shit.
Yes.
That, you know, finding all this other shit.
Yes.
To keep, I don't know, whatever, to do whatever going. But they're finding, when you are fighting for food and water, you probably aren't too worried about a lot of that other shit. Dude.
100. You just fully nailed it.
Yeah, you're probably like, it's not a big concern right now. So, yeah, life's gotten pretty easy in America, man. But like I said, everyone's heard this one. You know, good times, you know, create whatever.
Yeah, hard times create hard men.
Yeah.
And good times create soft men.
Yeah.
Soft men create hard times. Hard times create hard men.
Yeah. I actually did a podcast with the guy who wrote that book.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
he ended up dying, you know.
Who was it?
I'll have to look up his name. He had a pretty big podcast, but he wrote that book. I have to look at. Yeah, he's
there's definitely like some gnarly guys out there, eh?
Yeah.
That you know where they have Red Bull Imagination. Have you ever heard of Adam LaRoche, the guy that owns that?
I've heard. Yeah.
He's a fucking G, bro.
Yeah.
You'd love that dude.
Yeah.
He's got a fucking. I probably shouldn't say. He's well protected.
Yeah. Now I think there's a lot of dudes like that, like I said, that don't talk about it, you know?
Yeah. Oh man, 100%. But yeah, he's like one of those guys. Like he can go if the world ends, he can lock the gates. He can kill all the food that he needs to eat. He knows how to do the whole thing from woe to go.
Yeah.
Like the skills that it takes we were lucky the way that we grew up. Like, we spent all of our holidays in the bush in Australia, basically. Like, we didn't really grow up doing like normal holidays. And so we got all the skills of like hunting, cooking out the food that we killed, fishing. Like, we can catch, we can cook, we can do all that. I can make fires from scratch. I can make fucking like, that was literally our fun that we did. And when you go out into a place like that with people that don't have those skills, you're like, holy fuck, dude. Like, you would die.
You
like,
die
you would
so
die
quick.
so quick.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
Hudson's pretty good about that. He'll go out and cut trees down, start fires. Like, he loves doing that stuff. He'll catch fish, guts them, fillets them, cooks them. He's got some good survival skills,
It's so important, eh?
Yeah,
and if you don't know what to do, like,
no, you're done.
You're fucking
You probably
down.
live a week, maybe 2. That's what they said. If shit hits the fan, most of the population will be done by a week or 2 weeks.
You just don't want to be in a city, dude.
No, you're done. In the city, people are going to scatter to the closer communities, and those people are going to be armed and dangerous, right? Those are the quiet ones that are like, wait, I say, all right, bring it. Like,
so where would you go? If shit hits the
I'm
fan?
going to tell you, but like, I think the best states are probably Florida
And Texas.
the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Those are all good states. I think Texas, I think you have a lot of you go where there's like-minded people, right? That are willing to do the things you want to do, right?
Yeah.
That aren't going to come raid you, that are going to be like, hey, I got my spot, you got yours, stay there, I stay here, that, trust me, as a guy, I've thought about all that,
Yeah.
Because it kind of, if you will go on the internet, it almost forces you to, right?
Yeah.
Everything's fear-based.
Yeah.
So, of course, in America, it's legal to get ready and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I think that, I've thought about California, like living out there, and I had a couple buddies that are like military dudes and are police, ex-police. They're like, we would just shut down your roads and close them off, and we would all stay at your property. And I'm like, yeah, but you're still in California, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're still in that, the government, the guys running it could do whatever they want, And I feel like Florida would be more of like probably one of the safest states.
Yeah, because a lot of people would just like bunker down in their own spot.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I wonder whether when the election happens this year, no matter who wins, like, I think it's going to get fucked up no matter who wins.
You think so?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't know.
You reckon?
I think.
Well, I think there's going to be some kind of like riots and protests and shit. I don't think it's not going to be like the end of the world.
Yeah.
But I think that, if you're in like a major city, there's
don't
going to
wanna
be
be
people
in it.
marching through your streets.
Yeah.
From whatever side.
Yeah. Trust me, I had to come out here do a commercial in LA, and trust me, I was like, I have a choice to stay downtown LA, or I can stay, in Temecula or Corona. I was like, I'll just stay in Temecula or Corona. Because you never know, dude. It could be that one time that shit hits the fan. Imagine if you were in New York when the trade towers steal. I was at Gravity Games that year, and with Marisa, with Twitch and Feist and all those guys, and I was supposed to fly out of the airport there. That all that shit went down. Okay, this is a long time ago, but from what I remember, and we were running to the airport. We almost missed our flight the day before. Okay, and that would have put us at that airport the next day. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember we flew home from Gravity Games, and I remember sitting and I was in Canyon Lake where I lived at the time with Marisa. We're in the morning, turn the TV on, and we're like, no freaking way, dude. That just happened right where we were at. And I'm like, you imagine if we were stuck there, and airports had to shut down, all of that had to have been done, and I'm like, oh, it just made me think of like where you have to be at certain times, like how are you going to get out? Fortunately, now I know enough people with planes, small planes, that and sat phones, that I'd be like, hey, dude, what's the cost? You gotta come in and pick me up, dude. And I think I could pull that off. and that's why I kind of do want to get a pilot's license.
Yeah.
Because I think I probably just have Jacko show me.
Yeah.
He's like self-taught pilot. Now he's like, does acrobatics.
He's so gnarly, bro.
He's on another level. And he flies in today. I told him to come get on the podcast.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Yeah,
we've always wanted to do it.
You should. He'll be here tonight. He lands at 3 or 2 o'clock in LAX, and then we were gonna meet up. I told him, I was like, you should join in on this.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, his stories, dude.
He's like legitimately fucking one of the most gnarly people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, you could put him up against Pastrana.
But
he's self-taught pilot.
He's on like
built his own plane, jumps off towers, parachutes off. Him and Pastrana are kind of on that same.
Yeah.
But Jack was actually a mad scientist. He built his snow bike for X Games in my shop with my welder and my saws and all that. Yeah. He like I said, he built his own airplane that he flies. Like I'm telling you, that dude he should have his own show.
He's I think he's probably the gnarliest person I know.
Yeah, from Australia.
I think he's the gnarliest person I've ever met.
Yeah.
Like, not on like an action sports level, but I mean, just in terms of like his capabilities as a person.
Yeah.
Like, he's fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
Like, if there was an end of the world situation, he'd be one of the guys I'd be cool to hang with.
Yeah.
Like, he'd
figure it out.
He'd do whatever. And he'd be fucking fine with it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
he will be okay.
Yeah, no, he's not dying. No way. But yeah. No, I met him when he was 13 on tour on the Crusty Demons tour in Australia.
When the Crusties did Australia?
Yeah, they freaking put him on tour at 13 with all of us.
No wonder he's so fucking gnarly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the stories, man.
That must have felt like lawless.
Yeah, dude.
You would have felt like you couldn't have done anything wrong then.
A perfect explanation of that, yeah.
Lawless.
Yeah, like it's like you could.
Nothing was gonna happen.
No, you could do whatever you want, kind of at that time. Yeah, it was before all the media and cell phones and all that. And it was you're just traveling the world, man.
Was Australia the gnarliest country where you could get away with the most? You reckon?
I would say yes, because they just loved it over there. Like it was like rock star lifestyle, and I'm sure Guns N' Roses and Metallica got away with a lot of stuff, right? Like traveling and being, rock star lifestyle. But you know what I'm saying? Like
I'd say you guys maybe could have been some of the gnarliest people ever in terms of like traveling, and because there was like bikies and there was just like all sorts of shit, and like I don't know if we've ever had the conversation in the last podcast that we've done, but like, bro, my childhood was Crusty Demons.
Yeah.
He's like not an uncle, but he's my uncle kind of thing. And he was a cop, and he actually lived with us for fucking years. Yeah. And he was into bikes. My dad was into bikes, and he was like this young cop that moved. He got stationed first out of like fucking police school or whatever, and he was in Cairns. Knew no one, but he just rode bikes. So dad was like, sweet, you can stay with us. And he, every fucking time a new Crusty movie, he'd come home and like we'd all sit on the couch and we'd like be in our little living room and we'd all watch those movies. It just fully took over Australia.
No, they loved it.
It took over everywhere, but like Australia, dude, there was just something about that time. There was Aussies in it too, I guess, with like Luke Urich and that sort of stuff. Yeah. But man, it just spoke to Australian culture so heavily.
Yeah, I don't know why, but like of all the countries we've gone to, Australia was the #1 country for that movement.
Yeah,
they loved it. They lived it. Like Seth was like a hero over there, right?
How many kids are named Seth and Deegan, bro?
Yeah, so
it's
many.
Fucking insane.
Yeah, and so what you were just saying. We went over there, got paid to tour. We sold out stadiums. It was like 40, 50,000 people. And it was it was a lifestyle, rolling around with gnarly dudes, and literally like you just kind of run. You felt like that old West, like if you're like like a Jesse James with your 6-shooter on the side, riding a horse, going, "I am the law," like like it sounds stupid and crazy, but hey, it was that era,
and you could get away with it.
Yeah,
and there'd be like I could imagine. You'd just be like pushing, just seeing how far you could go.
Oh yeah.
And then at the next level that you went to, and you look around and you're like, everyone's still cool with
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
like, and so you just keep going and going and going, and
Yeah.
like young dudes like
Yeah.
from nothing
Yeah.
to make the money and to be
Mhm.
touring and to,
Yeah.
because it does make sense. Like when you spoke about your mum and the
Yeah.
relationship, and
Yeah.
like you would have been a real angry kid.
Full angry, yeah, and a lot of destruction. And
Yeah.
it's funny because a lot of people look at me now as this 50-year-old man, father, husband, and they see me as like, oh, that's Haley's or Hayden's or Hudson's father, right? They don't know, like they like the past, the things I've done and been through, and the gnarliest of the gnarliest things, the highest and the highest highs, lowest lows, and traveled the world, and did all these things that I could have stories upon stories that people wouldn't even believe.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Yeah, right, dude." I'm like, "Okay, yeah." Ask Feist, ask the dudes that are still alive. Like it's freaking a gnarly life, dude. And I'm excited that I'm still here. After all that, there was a lot of moments that were like real near death moments.
In terms of just the crashes
The
and
crashes, the going 100 and some on Harleys down the freaking interstate, bouncing across bridges with a bunch of dudes at 2 a.m. Hardtail chop, as fast as they could go off the chip, just leaving the bar, the club, or whatever. There's just
reckless.
Yeah, and it was just like things I wouldn't do now.
Yeah.
But like I think like we were waking up the next morning going, dude, I'm alive. Like, yeah, dude, that was gnarly. Like, yeah, and it was Seth, it was, Feist, it was Jacko, like it was a crew of guys. You're with all your buddies, like having the best time and push, like you're saying when you say that, pushing the limits.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just on the ramp. It was
just
almost
everywhere.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And
did you all have like you all come from like this fucked up place in a way? Like everyone had their own unique fucked up
I think
life.
so. I think Feist came from, a broken home. I think Jacko's
Twitch was a gnarly.
Twitch had a gnarly upbringing, and Jacko probably had a pretty normal upbringing. He was on a farm.
But if you know where he fucking lived, like that town's gnarly.
Gnarly,
dude.
yeah. It sounds like he had some stuff to deal with in his family and his personal stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And motos are released, man. Moto was like dirt bikes were our escape. We got to go freaking ride and get paid and to do what we love
and be celebrated for it.
Celebrated around people that understood us and people that wanted to be a part of what we were doing. And how many people I've met, how many people I've come across like in this world, thousands upon thousands of people that I've met, and that are all like-minded, have some two-wheel thing in their life. And it's funny when people label me as, oh, that's just the kid's dad. Cool, right on. I'm like, yeah, dude, sweet, that's all good. Like, I don't need to prove to you anything. I'm cool where I'm at.
It's just something as well to like coming from a place where you've got no money and you've got no prospects.
Yeah.
And you've got, like you look for a future that isn't really promised.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you'd be like this kid like you that's like got this opportunity in freestyle, and then it's like make it or break it.
Yeah.
In a way. And it's like I just push the limit as hard as possible. I'm getting rewarded for pushing the limit. And you like you said, you thought you were going to die at 40 anyway.
Yeah.
Or before 40. So it's like, if I'm going to fucking go out, I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory. And I'm either going to make it, and I'm either going to be this big star that makes all this money, or I'm going to crash and fucking burn.
Yeah.
And that's really what I'm looking at if I don't make it.
Yeah, which a lot of guys have done that. I think a majority of our sport, majority of dirt bikers have done more crash and burn than succeed. And when I say succeed, I mean, multiply it from what the sport gave them. Take what the sport's given them and multiply it. And that's pretty rare, I probably count those guys on one hand, at least in action sports. I feel like that's there's only so many that parlayed it.
Yeah.
That crazy mentality of like win or bust, it only works, you know, in certain formats. You know?
Yeah.
It does, and it's a great personality trait to have. It's a great like I'm gonna go all in. Like that's a great personality trait. Like going half in stupid. Like I just feel like it's such a waste of time. You know, and that's what kills me about certain things in my life that I wish I could go all in on that I just haven't had the time, like say jiu-jitsu, like that. Like I wish I could have went all in on that. I feel like I've shorted myself in that spot of my life. This one thing, and there's other things I think I want to learn, like you know, education wise that I would like to do. That I feel like I'm getting to this age where I don't know if I'll ever do it. I want to learn to fly. I want to learn.
You could do that.
Yeah, and I think I see dudes flying planes that are like 80, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think there's any like time limit on that. But I do want to learn to fly. That's my one thing I do want to learn. The only thing that scares me with that is like flying my family. But I think it's like riding a dirt bike. Like once you get so good at it, you're like, yeah, I put my wife on the back. I'll do a wheelie. You know, that's easy. I think that's what will happen with flying. Like Jack goes, like it's like, dude, the tractor, you get in it. It's odd at first. You're running an excavator, running a dozer, which now I'm like, a dozer to me is like, dude, a car. Yeah. You know, and so it's just something you learn. You know, you just learn, and I think flying's a lot safer than people make it out to be. You know, I think like when it's pretty rare to see planes go down. You see way more car crashes than any planes. Yeah, for sure. When you get up in the sky, you're like, whoa, there's no traffic. Not even close. Yeah. Like, there's so much room up here. Yeah. Like, it's almost foolish not to go on that adventure. You know? So I feel like, you know, I have friends with Todd Bennick. He's, his kid Dax is friends with Haiden. They've been friends since they're little kids. Number 1 and 2 competitors in the same age, 2 days apart. His dad is like me, he's very busy, but he took the time to go get his pilot's license. And now he's going down that path of flying. And I'm like, man, I just really want to do that. Yeah. But I need to commit my time to it. Yeah. You know, and maybe the off season, because it's a 3 to 6 month deal is what I see. Yeah. And I just would have to do it at the end of the season. You know? I don't know. It's going to happen maybe. I'm all in. I'm not all in. Just do it. Yeah. I put it on my list. I'll write it down. It's funny the jiu-jitsu thing. Yeah. Like I even think that like I did probably 4 years of just like trained as hard as anybody. Yeah. And then the last few years with like moving and like we've trained in all the different places, but it hasn't been the same. But it's funny like that thing sticks in your mind. Is like you just I just want to be a black belt. Bad, but you're like, that's so much, like 10 years, 15 years of commitment, man. And it's so I mean, at least for me, it's like the hardest thing I do. Yeah. I think if you become at least a blue belt, like a legit blue belt, not the place down the street that hands them out to every dude, right? Yeah. You know when you're in a legit jiu-jitsu gym. Yeah. Right? Like a legit blue belt, I think you're at a skill that's going to beat 95% of the average person. Yeah. You know, you'll be able to handle probably about anyone on the street, except the dude that's maybe outweighs you. I was going to say that pounds, I can look at a guy and be like, I can beat you no matter what. And then it like, no matter what, you know. Yeah. Unless you're like a actual real like legitimate college wrestler, like high level, but like, even like and 250 pound like but there's a level where like even if you don't know anything, you're big enough for me not to want to fuck with you. Yeah. Like I've experienced enough, like I've got enough data that tells me how hard it is to deal with someone that's that much bigger than me. Yeah, you know, so there's like there's a level, and it's good to know. Like, if someone came at me, I'd instantly be able to size that person up and be like, I can take this on. Yeah. And there's a level where I'm like, hey, man, all good, bro. Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. How much do you weigh? Probably like 180 right now. So you're a good size. That's a good size that covers a lot of pieces. Yeah. My weight of like 160, 155, 160, like. It makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. If you put 2 blue belts against each other and one dude's 20 pounds more, those aren't a good match, right? like weight matters so much when you compare belt to belt.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
100.
5 pounds you can play with, 10s not so much. Like you're kind of at the point where you're gonna struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
If the guy has the same skill as you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But on the street for me, like if a guy's 200 pounds, I'm like, yeah, I ain't beating that guy.
That's probably like my
Yeah.
205, 210 is like
Yeah.
probably my limit.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't. Like that guy would just throw me. You know. So. That's when you grab a pipe or a shovel. You're like, or run. Yeah.
Well, the crazy
whatever.
thing,
Yeah.
I was talking about this to a friend the other day. I can't remember why we started talking about it, but he's like, what would you do in like this situation? And I was just like, honestly, dude, when you get to a certain level in jiu-jitsu, I can't even beat a person up.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I look good in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd watch, it'd be like, you know, you could watch a guy that could like really box, just like fucking throw combos on a dude in the street. You'd be like, bro, chill. Like, you know? So you can kind of get to a level where you can be like, and this is actually like a very cool thing.
Rear naked choke is about all you can do before you look dumb. Like you're just thrashing someone.
I'm just going to be like, hey man, let's not do this.
Yeah.
You know, like Rob Adel, there was actually, we had a thing, Rob Adelberg we're in New Zealand.
Yeah.
This guy got in our face and he was, and I'm like, everyone chill, like everyone, or like, no one's doing this because I can take care of that.
Yeah.
And it's not going to look good for me. It's not going to look good for you. This isn't a good situation for anyone, but you can have like the confidence in your own abilities to like actually diffuse a situation. And I think that you can come across in a way where like that guy looked at me being like, why is he like this?
Yeah.
Why is he being like this?
Yeah.
And that's not common. I think the common thing is for everyone to get defensive, everyone put their hand
get
up.
aggro, and
then you got
swinging.
one guy that's like talking to everyone like they're fucking kids. He's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah. It changes the game.
Yeah, it fully changes your
Diffuses it.
perspective on like how I should act in this circumstance. Because I think
if you act like that in a jiu-jitsu gym, you get thrashed.
Yes.
Like if you go in there with an attitude, bro, and I have days I've gone into the gym like with a bad attitude, like where I'm mad at something and I just get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
You're like, bro, you come in there, you get all aggro and disrespectful. You're getting freaking smashed, dude. You know?
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes, dude.
Well, that was literally going to be the thing I said next. Like you learn in the gym that you have to respect people because there's people that can fuck me up bad. Like bad. You know, like, dude, when I went to Dubai, I'd never been fucked up as much as I had been in that gym.
Yeah.
All these gnarly Russian wrestlers just did not give a fuck about my jiu-jitsu.
They
didn't even want to do jiu-jitsu. They would just
smash,
literally fucking grind me into the mat. And for 6 minutes, I could barely breathe.
Yeah.
And I just, no jiu-jitsu that I'd ever learned was like effective on these motherfuckers, you know? So there's like that level of the extreme. And you've got to be like humble enough in yourself
be okay
to be like, fuck, like there's just levels to the game.
Yeah.
But then there's also people that I could do that to them.
Yeah.
And so you learn respect in both ways.
Yeah.
It's not just like you get humbled because you know that you can take a beat. Like, you know, people can beat you. So you're like, I've got to be humble.
Yeah.
But you also end up knowing how bad you can beat other people.
Yeah.
So you end up really getting like a good equilibrium when it comes to that because you know both sides of the coin, you know?
Yeah, and it's funny that people think, because there's a guy, Chad Robo, you should look him up. He trained at the gym we were at. He was a black belt, probably about 155. And I was like, I'm going to freaking get this. At least we're going to have a scrap, right? And the dude like tacoed me like it's like just played around. Like, I'm like, bro, this guy is so gnarly. And he did that to big guys too, right?
Yeah.
He's so fast and so quick and just moves around and chokes you out so quick. Uses your own strength against you.
Yeah.
That's like his key.
Yeah.
And anyway, and the guy he's like, oh, you should come on my podcast and this, that. He does stuff for military guys with PTSD and I kicking myself. I should have made the time for it and I didn't. And then which he still does this podcast, and look him up. He's actually getting.
What's his name again?
Chad on Instagram, Chad Robo.
Okay.
And he's an ex like special ops guy.
Yeah.
Like I found out all this later, you know. Like he was the elite of the elite, you know, and super nice guy. Like you would never know except for his ears, right? You would never know he's this freaking trained killer. And so anyhow, I'm gonna go on his. He just actually texted me today and was like DM was like, hey, I'm gonna come to you because I know
Whereabouts is he?
Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, and so he's to do his podcast, but he did the Sean Ryan show.
Yeah.
Like that's a big,
Yeah.
another big one. So anyway, you look him up. The dude,
Yeah.
that's the guy you want in your court. Like he's the guy. Like that's the crew you want to know when shit goes down. And he'd be like, bro, I need get me out of here. Yep, coming.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. He's like coming in, And there is that crew in America, dude. I'm telling you, there's a freaking
Fuck yeah.
You think there isn't? You don't think there's a freaking whole underground army like of dudes? Like, come on. I just want to be like at least on the call list. Hey, dude, it's me. Like, because your celebrityism at the time ain't gonna mean shit.
It's not gonna be worth anything, bro.
Nothing. It's like, what can you barter to
the
me?
community,
Yeah. What are you bartering to me?
Yeah.
What can you offer to us?
Yeah.
It's go back to the old days.
Yeah.
Right?
How much do you train now?
If I'm lucky, it'd be once or twice a month.
Fuck. That's, yeah.
And then there's a place, in Tallahassee I go to, and it's good. I brought Hudson in there. He started getting into it. Haiden really wants to go, but I'm scared of him getting an injury there, because it could happen. It could happen, but obviously wouldn't put him with white belts.
You need
just
to
do a privates probably.
You need to get like a crew.
Yeah.
Like the best training. It's like when I'm going home Tuesday, and I'm just gonna go full fucking jiu-jitsu.
But you have to
camp,
do. You can't go in and out. Yeah, you need to go.
But I'm just gonna pay. Like I actually left a gym that I was at. It was it was not a good environment. But there's a few black belts from that gym that I've like trained with for 5 years every single day, and they're still like fucking great friends of mine. I'm literally just gonna they all do privates. I'm just gonna say, wait, all of yous.
Yeah,
we're doing privates, but let's fucking train together.
Yeah, that's
and just
the best.
Two groups, and we're all rolling. Everyone's switching. Like that. There's such a good way to learn like that. Yeah. Like Haiden going to a class wouldn't. It's not a good way.
No, it's not a good. I mean, should do privates, and I think the flexibility and learning how to really the falls and the throws and all that. I think it would be be really good for him.
You definitely get a like your proprioception in terms of like where you're. Just, at least for me, like playing guard, like I'll play bottom a lot more, and it's like just to be able to like literally use your feet as hands, and like a lot of like the rolls that you'll do, and the movement, and just like knowing where your body is, like there is a crazy level of control,
100%,
and a lot of fitness. Like the worst arm pump I've ever had is not on a motocross bike.
Strength,
It is fucking doing jiu-jitsu.
trying to hang on to the gi and.
Oh man, I went to this camp in Thailand, and it was like 7 days of just training twice a day for 7 days. And man, I was going home every session, and I was getting a bag of ice on the way home and just dumping my forearms in the bath because they were so fucking fried from it.
Yeah.
Just like crazy amounts of grip strength.
And that's what I thought. Like I was like, I wanted to go today down to the gym and train, but I'm like, I can't even risk like getting like an injury before I go do this commercial. Yeah. And but anyway, like I said, it's an all-in thing. If you're gonna do it, go do it for a couple weeks straight, right? Don't do it one day. It's got to be like, because you're gonna be sore. You're gonna beat up the next day for at least a few days.
That's the thing that I find the hardest now is just my body.
Yeah.
Like it's just so
recovery,
I just can't, dude. I get so fucking sore from it.
Yeah.
But I think I just play the wrong game. Like I think because when I was doing it every day, like twice a day, you get super flexible and you get super used to it. And I was younger. Like I've been doing it 7 years.
Yeah.
So then you keep that same game of like playing guard, being on bottom, like that really flexibility based. And now I just pay for it. I basically need to like reinvent the way that I do it, I think. To do it for longer.
No, I get what you're saying.
And I'd love
can't be the aggressor.
Well, just being on the bottom.
Like
being on the bottom is just not the fucking not the move.
No.
But I think I need to put on weight also.
Yeah.
Like I think if I could get to what would 85 kilos be? Like 180.
Yeah.
I feel like if I could get to 180, it'd make a bit of a difference as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's been a while, so.
Did you started with Charles, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, with Charles. Yeah. He's been a longtime friend at Icon Sports, so Yeah, he's been one of the legit dudes in our circle for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's always trains the competition and this, that, and that doesn't it doesn't matter. Like we've always just been cool with him.
Yeah.
Like he's
just a genuinely awesome guy.
yeah, real respectful. I like the kid. I can drop the kids off with them and know that they're good.
Yeah.
Every which way. And they usually leave there better. As a person.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I could hire him as a full-time trainer, that would be the guy.
Yeah.
And he lives in a different place. So
Yeah.
we had a lot of good resources, man, in Temecula. A lot of great resources. That was very hard to leave there and rebuild. Like people don't understand like the sacrifice the family makes when they leave and relocate. Like Tallahassee, there is not much there. Like it is like this swampland in the panhandle of Florida, very hot. A lot of bugs, and for the wife and it's a transition. It's a sacrifice, but it's what you do for this window of time, this chapter of life to succeed, and can we do it somewhere else? I think we could get it done in North Carolina. I think we get it done in multiple spots.
Yeah.
I think maybe later in your career you might like hunker down, get your own spot, and shut the gates and not let people see what you're doing, And I feel like that could work, But right now I feel like we need to move around and learn, keep learning. There's still a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And there's I still got a couple of years till he probably goes and up to the 450 class, and I think we still have time to learn.
Do you think you guys will ever move back to California?
I don't know. I know Marisa would like to at times because of her community there. But most of the families moved to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Most of our families already moved there.
Yeah.
So I think my goal in life is to have spots so I can choose, like say the winter in Florida, the summer at the lake in North Carolina. California, if we jam out there, maybe it's a rental we got out there that we stay at for a month or so. Say Haiden races West Coast.
Yeah.
We get that's the formula that I think would be great, and that we've been able to put ourselves in that position. And those houses are investments for us.
Yeah.
So be able to jump around and people have to understand. Like when I moved to California at 18 years old, I had old junky Ford truck and a couple dirt bikes, and I had a credit card with like a freaking $1,000 limit on it or something, maybe $500. I remember it was very small, and I didn't have good support, man. It was me. It was like burn the boats and we're not turning back, man. We're going, And so I did the days of sleeping on the floors, on the couch, and just big dreams, and just the goal of like not ever going back to the small town. And so throughout those years, been able to, get to where we're at today. And my goal has always been to, I could show you this. It was this like a journal I wrote in class as a school project when I was like 10, 11 years old. It says, I want to move to California, own a big house with a swimming pool, and have a nice car, and I want to win a Supercross. And that's what it says written down. It says, I want to win a Supercross. I want to, he said, something about live this, a big, a successful life, and, in California. And I wrote all this stuff down, as a kid. And I mean, it's cool. It's always been a goal. And one day to have, I always said one day I want to fly, have a private jet. One day I want to have, like, I always think, what's the pinnacle of business? What's the top of the top, right?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not shoot for that? And that's what I like about, like even listening to, the Lawrences, like when they said, hey, we want to break all the records, or we want to beat McGrath's record. Good.
So we should.
Yes, you should. And for Haiden to say, like, hey, one day I want to beat him, you have to believe that. You have to believe that you can do that. And otherwise, what are you doing? Otherwise, you're just in the game to play the game.
Yeah.
If you want to win the game, you have to believe you can beat everyone. And I know it's very tough for a lot of people because there's like not a reality to them.
Yeah.
But like we still have, like, there's still time, And so with time, if you just do the norm, you're going to get the norm. But for me, I like to, and there's no stone unturned. Right? And out of the 100 things I try to figure out in the month, maybe 60 of them work and 40 of them are dud, you know? But And I can wear a lot of people out. I have a lot of energy. I'm very, active. My mind races. I think of a lot of things. I love that part of the sport. I love the competition. I love the learning,
the creativity and the problem solving.
Yeah, I feel like there's still a whole nother level to this sport. Every about 10 years, the level changes, right? Yeah, Roxon changed the game. McGrath changed the game. Stewart changed the game. I feel like when I say Roxon, I think he was a stand-up style, that kind of one of the first ones to do the Everett style. And then obviously Lawrence has changed the game. Hopefully Hayden's the next game changer, then when he comes in 5, whatever that year when it could all change, right? And I feel like every 5 to 10 years someone changes the sport. Maybe just a little bit, some a lot, but I feel like to do that though, you have to do it different. You can't come in and do the same thing. Like I said, I tell my kids, if you're going to change the game, you can't do what's already been done. You got to change it, right? And I know that ruffles a lot of feathers with people that are like, well, this is how we do it. And I'm like, cool, dude, right on. Well, that's,
keep doing it.
Keep doing it, dude. We're going to do it this way. And so far it's been working, so.
And you only rise to the ceiling that you put on yourself.
Yeah.
And if you want to be like Jett, like Jett's he wants to beat the records.
Yeah.
The only way you can do that is by believing that you can.
There's a good shot he could do it.
Have that conversation with yourself, and I'm around people all the time where they just limit themselves.
Yeah.
Like they believe that they believe the things that they say about themselves.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you realize this is just
like
a story?
casting spells. Dude.
Yeah. I'm like, do you realize this is just a story?
Yeah.
I can't do this. I don't do this. I'm not this.
Yeah.
That's a fucking story.
It's a spelling.
Yeah. You are
Think
just,
about that word.
Yeah. You are just telling yourself a story and you're believing the story.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a level at which I want to be a hippopotamus. All right, well, you're not going to be a hippopotamus.
Yeah.
So there's a level of reality that you ultimately need to live
that.
in.
I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
So I'm always been bad at that. I don't like that talk. And I catch myself doing that once in a while. And I'm like, dude, you got to stop. And people got to understand when you're a high-level athlete saying, I'm going to do this. It's because they're trying to program themselves to believe that they can do that. Your mind may not be able to comprehend that, but you have to respect this guy for trying to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
You must first believe to achieve.
Yeah.
It is. You don't just happen, they didn't just happen to win these championships by oh man, we were just, I don't know, I thought it was just good. I guess I'm good.
Fuck,
I
not lucky.
I didn't think I could do that, but it just happened. No, dude, they believed.
Yeah. McGrath didn't win 72 races off luck.
No, he believed.
He won 72 races. There were 72 times he went to the line thinking he could win, and the motherfucker did it.
Yeah, he worked at a Honda shop behind the counter in Paris, as far as I remember. Honda, some cycle shop behind the counter as a kid, as a teenager, I guess. And then they built the bike, and he went and raced, and he did good at Seattle Supercross or something like that.
Yeah.
And then everyone noticed him. I'm like, what a winners take all story, dude. Watch that old movie. Have you seen that old movie?
Winners take all.
Yeah, you'll die laughing. It was in the 80s about a kid, same story, a small town kid, builds his own bike and then makes it to Supercross and wins the championship.
What?
Yeah.
How have I never
you haven't
seen
seen
this?
it?
What?
You'll die.
Dude.
Watch it and
that's McGrath.
You'll laugh, yeah. But it's kind of that story, this kid that, and his story is awesome, man. It's a great story and what he did, he achieved. And so I'm sure at one point he finished say second at Seattle and was like, I got these guys.
Yep.
There was a turning point where he was like, I believe.
Yep.
And then once he started, it's just probably his first, usually it's your first win. Once you get your first win, not a lucky win, but a real win, you race to the front and beat everyone, you start believing. And that's when people are like, man, don't let him start winning because he's going to be hard to beat, and you see it with a lot of athletes.
What's happened.
Yeah. You see it with a lot of athletes. Once they get on a roll, it's hard to stop them. And that's, but in this sport, there's only one winner, Fortunately, there's 2 classes. So
Yeah.
we can do some winning while build the skill set,
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about Jett, though.
Yeah.
He just copped so much shit.
Yeah.
And so many people are like,
yeah.
and even they were like, oh, wait till you win your first one before you talk like, and it's like, well, he did win his first.
Yeah.
Like he said it, and then he fucking backed it up.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
it's so that really like caught me off guard.
Yeah.
When
yeah.
people went, I'm like, hey, and I've even said this to
Yeah.
people. People would always be like, oh, get off Jett's dick.
Yeah.
Or you just
Nah,
talk him
everyone
up.
loves
And
to
I'm
say
like,
that shit,
hey, just if we go by facts here, he actually blew my shit out the water.
Yeah.
Like I was saying how good he was, and I was wrong.
Yeah, he's actually
He's better.
He's better, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
I was saying how great he was, and I didn't even fucking gas him up enough.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, why would you be mad at that kid
Yeah.
saying he wants to break records?
Yeah, and I feel like with a guy like that, a great personality, he still does, but I feel like he was pretty flamboyant and outgoing, and I really enjoyed watching his interviews when he was in the lights class. I was like,
Same,
freaking,
dude.
I was waiting for what he was gonna say. He always said something funny, always made fun of himself, and
Yeah.
built up the other guys, and like he had that was a good persona. I think he had a good you don't know what he's gonna say, and that made me want to tune in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like the sport, or maybe the 450 class, whatever, has turned him into more of he's like more serious now.
No, you know what does that?
Yeah.
The fucking people.
Yeah, the media.
People do that.
people, yeah.
It's not even the media.
Yeah.
It's the fucking comments, bro.
Just chastise him
Yeah.
when he tries to be like
Yeah.
creative and
Yeah.
funny and
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean,
And then you
obviously-
get to the point where you just go, you know what, fuck it.
yeah,
Fuck it.
yeah,
I'm not gonna be that guy then.
yeah.
Like you don't like he
You get nothing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so you just like there was
Yeah.
the point, what race was it this year? He just shut down on the podium
Yeah.
for like 2 3. I mean, Hayden did it as well.
No,
There was one of the races where
no.
I can't remember what like controversy happened, and then Hayden just gave everyone nothing on the
Yeah.
podium and just was like, "Yep, thanks to my team," and then walked off.
Yeah,
And then there was the same thing with Jett because they're just like, "Man, I'm just being myself. This is who I am,"
Yeah.
and people are gonna fucking talk shit.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to the 450 class and you've got all the pressure and everything's on you,
Yeah.
and you just go like, you know what, too fucking hard. And that's the thing. That's the thing that
yeah,
I don't think the average guy realizes, that by talking shit on an 18-year-old kid,
yeah,
you're actually changing his perception on the world.
yeah.
You're changing the way that he interfaces with this general public, and you're shutting this kid down.
Yeah, you're taking away. Yeah, you're taking it from yourself.
Yeah.
You're taking away his personality that he's giving to you. You're taking it out away, and now you get nothing.
Yep.
Now you get very average talk.
Yep.
Now you don't get to know what he's feeling or who he is or what he's saying or his mood at the time. You get the robot.
Yep.
And that's I don't know. I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I think we got to change that if we want the sport to really go to transcend
Yeah.
the sport.
Yeah.
We need these flamboyant
Or-
characters people want to watch. and
Yes. But
Come in and hear what are they going to say next? Well, what's usually it's a rivalry that brings that.
Yeah.
And I think every athlete's fueled a different way, but what fuels wars? What fuels in one man to go and kill another man in war? Hate, anger, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not saying that's the correct way, but I'm saying that's a rival. That's rivals,
Yeah.
right?
There's got to be
So
like
you don't think like Stewart and Chad like went at it?
yeah, they fucking hated
hate
each other.
and people loved it. They fed into
Well,
it.
you
right?
and Travis. Not
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
like you.
Yeah, the two rivals. Yeah,
And there's
Yeah.
a level at which
Yeah.
you know the game that you're
yeah,
playing.
yeah.
To where you would have known, I just need to be against this guy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is how this works.
Yeah.
But then I'm sure even then, if you were thinking about it, you'd be like, when we're 40, we're going to be friends.
Yeah. In the end, everyone just
Yeah.
is in the same family.
Yeah.
It's just like, what does it take for you
To
to
motivate, and to
motivate
dig.
you
Yeah.
to dig and
Yeah.
reach in and become the person that's unbeatable?
Yeah.
And if that's the MO, then hey, that's the MO. If people don't understand it, then they've never been there. They've
Yeah.
never been in that
Yeah.
realm
Yeah.
of what it takes to go full throttle.
Yeah.
And be on the edge.
Yeah.
And ride lap times faster than everyone else, and if hey, happy go lucky, hey, you're my buddy, let's go have a good time doesn't work, then you're gonna have to be the other guy.
Yeah.
No,
No, 100%. And I
Yeah.
think it's going to take, I hope Jett and Hunter can, like, they don't do interviews.
Nah, nothing, huh?
You know,
Dude, I don't even see them like they don't
No.
do track walk. They don't do
shit, bro.
riders meetings.
Why?
They don't.
Why?
Yeah.
They're over it.
Yeah, over
already.
It. Yeah. 'Cause
Already.
of the way people are treating them.
Yeah. So they go like,
yeah.
People are always like, oh, get the boys on the pod. When are they doing the podcast? I'm just like,
yeah.
I don't want to do
Why?
shit.
So you can tear them apart on every little thing they say.
They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
They don't want to do any of it.
Like, what do I get out of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
What, get tore apart by everyone? Yeah, cool.
Especially when we can just talk normally.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a fucking bummer. It's a massive bummer.
Yeah.
And I hope Jett and Hunter can put that out of their mind and just be them and not let it get to them.
Yeah.
And I hope Haiden as well. Like I think there's an element with Haiden where like, because he's the only guy that talks shit. Like it's it.
Yeah.
And I think it's like I feel like it's in his personality in a sense to where he's like okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he really is like, he was the first person to give Ty props on the podium.
Yeah, he usually always does to like whoever wins. He usually, even if it isn't on the podium, like, hey, good job, buddy. So everyone can hear and you hear that I'm doing what you want, right? Like, usually, like when they pull off the track and they're under that tent behind and no one can see them, every time Hayden's usually, hey, good race, dude.
Yeah.
He's a competitor, man.
Yeah.
He wants to fight. He wants to fight. He wants the competition.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's there's very rare is it like, you know, these dudes are he is, I don't know about other guys, but how he is like so anti someone that it's like true, like, oh, dude, get away from me, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I can't even look at you. Like, they're freaking racing, dude. Leave it on the track.
Yeah.
You know?
And I also just think he knows the game though.
Yeah.
Like I think he knows the value of talking shit. I think he knows the value of telling like Tom Biel this or Levi that, or, you know, and it's like, I think he has a perspective of what that does for the competition, what it does for the sport, and you need that guy.
Yeah.
You know, you need guys in the sport.
Yeah. When was the last guy like that?
I don't even know.
People tell me it's Bob Hanna.
I wasn't really around for that.
I know, right?
Like,
yeah, but they say he was like that style, like kind of just said what he wanted. It was a little edgy and but then there was also Damon Bradshaw. He was like that.
Yeah.
He was real like
gritty, and,
like kind of just said it how it was, you know, like he was the other one, but I don't know. There's plenty of the other personalities, so why not?
Yeah.
Why not have some different stuff, you know?
Yeah, but I just hope he keeps doing it, and I hope he doesn't let it get to him.
I know
that people talk shit. You know?
Yeah,
but
because I miss the old Jets interviews. I think they were funny, man. I miss it. Like, I think I was entertained by it. You know?
And we've just seen it so many times, dude. Like James was cool as fuck when he first started, dude, doing the worm, doing this fucking dancing,
so
and like, and then he just goes like, you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Yeah.
Like, this sucks. I'm making money. I got my own shit.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to make my money. And then you get to be like a Villapoto where it's like you have a number and you have like, that's your exit.
Yeah.
Once I get that number, I'm out.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
No.
We don't want that in our sport.
Yeah.
We want guys sticking around for as long as possible and like having fun. We want it to be fun for them.
Yeah.
We want them to be able to talk shit on the podium. We want them to be like, say, cuss.
Yeah.
Just be like, that race was fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
You know, have NBC ready with a button.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, I'm going to say some shit. Like, be ready with a button.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, give like, and the problem is that you just get all the pushback and you get the people that, but I think.
People think if an athlete is like that, it's going to ruin the growth of the sport, which is completely the opposite, right? If you knew anything about entertainment, the people want to watch the most unpredictable character, right?
Yeah.
That's the guy that's you want to see what's going on, you know? It's everyone like compare, it's WWE or whatever. Like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Like, look at these guys are the top athletes doing gnarly stuff, risking their lives. They're going to have some freaking energy inside that they want to talk about. And I don't even know how most guys hold it in, dude. You know, like just getting off the bike after a gnarly race and literally almost being in a fight, you know, it's like risking it all to like get up there and just like calm down and get into this.
Just go into the mode.
Yeah.
Dude, Justin Cooper, I've never really even spoke to him.
Yeah.
It seems like a very nice guy. when he got on the fucking podium wherever
Yeah.
it was, like, couldn't believe how boring that was.
Yeah, he's a mellow
That's
dude.
just his. I was gonna say
yeah.
that's like his personality.
I've
though, I'm
yet to
guessing.
see him like behind. I've seen him mad at the farm. I've seen him like
I just
get
wish
mad at someone. Yeah,
It's like,
but
bro, you just
but-
got your first fucking podium.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
a
He's-
contract.
yeah,
It's a
he should be
contract
like,
year.
yeah.
Like, your job's on the line.
Yeah.
Like, this was huge for
Yeah.
you, and it's just like,
Yeah, but I feel like what you're getting with him is still like what he's
He's
kind of
like,
like. He's
yeah,
kind of like,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you can't
yeah,
expect
yeah,
like he's
yeah.
not toning it down like a lot of guys are.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You know, I feel like
That's a very good point.
yeah. I feel like with Haiden, he's a teenager, man. He's having fun and this expressing it. You know, he doesn't turn it on like, okay, I'm usually quiet, but now I'm gonna turn this up.
Yeah, he's just like a little kid that
But he
talks
ain't even
shit.
being loud.
Yeah.
He's just saying funny shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
yeah, all right. Stuff that you're thinking, stuff most people want to say, but they won't say it.
Yeah.
That's, so you have a guy that's just saying things that most guys would want to say,
Mm.
you know? You imagine things that those other riders want to say back to Haiden.
I
I'm
wish
like,
they
say
would.
it! I know,
I
like,
wish they would.
say it.
I've been trying.
It'd
I've
be
been
so
trying.
funny, dude.
Yeah.
It ain't like he's gonna be like, "Oh, let's fight." No, it's gonna be like, "Heh."
He'd laugh.
Yeah,
he'd
he'd
be
laugh,
Like, hey,
like,
you got me good, you fuck.
Yeah, it's got a little brother. You don't think they freaking talk shit to each other all the time, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Even what VL I did the thing with Villo,
Yeah.
the title 24.
yeah.
And we were just like, he should have fucking run it in harder. Should have went in harder.
Yeah.
Like, everyone would have respect. Like, we all
Yeah.
respect that.
Yeah,
Last lap, going for the win,
Yeah.
second moto.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think that Haiden was expecting that shit was
100%,
coming?
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like, hey,
yeah.
that's moto.
But he hit it pretty good. I think, I mean, I like Ryan, the way he says stuff. It's pretty just like
Direct, yeah.
straight up. And he obviously can speak from credibility. So you listen when he speaks. And he is funny. He's like, yeah, but you're running on him. And then he's going to fuck with you the rest of the series.
It's
Like,
not this
it's
one
not
race.
just going to be a one time. He's not going to
Yeah,
stop.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, that's good. It's got a point.
Yeah. But like,
Yeah.
but I'm there going like, do it.
Do
Do it.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Like, you need this. We all need it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good. It's all, like I said, in the end, it's racing. Leave it on the track.
Yeah.
You know, when I say on the track, even the press interviews and on the podium, that's the track.
Yeah.
Right. That's part of the game.
Yeah.
But once you leave the track, you're like, yeah, dude, you're not on social talking shit on some dude. And like,
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, cool, dude. All racers respect each other.
Yeah.
They all know everyone's gnarly.
Yeah.
You know, they all know deep down inside, everyone on that gate is fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's, you got to sell the show, man. You got to, be a marketing machine along with
Yeah.
being an awesome athlete.
Yeah.
So, and that's the total package. That would be the guy who transcends the sport and the guy who makes the most money in this very dangerous game of racing.
And
Yeah.
not only makes the most money for themselves, but then lifts it for everybody.
For
else.
everybody. Yeah. So imagine when, like, say, Stewart got, his $10 million contract, whatever it was. You don't think that flowed over to
Ricky and Chad.
Ricky and Chad? And when one guy gets paid that much money, that's
the new
favored
bar.
nations set the bar.
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine if someone like, even Jett or like Haiden or, is able to pull in a salary that the sport's never seen. You're like, cool. You just brought the bar back up.
Yep.
I think the bar was the highest probably back in that era of the Stewarts. And,
Yep.
Stewart was flying he owned his own jet, right? He had his own thing. He should have.
Yeah.
He was a very awesome rider, very rare a talent, So, and he was a great character. I just wish they would have stayed that character, you
Yeah.
know?
We should, and that's I guess is
Yeah.
my like bigger point is like, we've already seen how this goes.
Yeah.
When you shit on people for just being themselves and doing their thing, they go into their shell and they stay the same person,
Yeah.
just behind closed doors.
Yep.
No one gets to see it.
Yeah.
The fucking helmet goes on. They say the bare minimum in the
Yeah.
interviews, and then they take their money and then they leave.
Yeah.
And it took James years, bro. How good? Did you watch the High Point race on TV,
We watch every race.
bro? How
We
amazing!
study every minute of it, dude.
How
We watch it right on our way home.
Yeah,
Yes. Me and Hayden and I will watch together. And we'll take our notes. Do. Yes. We will listen to, watch it all. Yeah.
Well, how amazing was James and Weege's call of that weekend?
Yeah.
Like, I think
Yeah.
that was so I'd have to go back. I mean, Hangtwon
Yeah.
was obviously pretty sick too,
Yeah, yeah.
but like I'd have to go back a long ways to remember a national I enjoyed watching more from start to finish in terms of like the production,
Yeah.
the track,
Yeah, yeah.
the commentary, the racing, the riders,
Yeah.
the storylines.
Yeah.
Like that was maybe one of the best motocross experiences in a very long time.
Yeah.
And James was a huge part of that.
Yeah.
The expertise
Yeah.
that he brought, the explanation, like
Yeah.
so and
he's not scared to throw in his funny little like.
yeah, his personality
You
and
don't
his own
think
flavor.
he talks shit? Like that dude talks so much shit on. Like he's so quick and so witty and funny.
Yeah.
And he like throws in his little cracks, and I'm like, bro, he's the king of it.
And so we didn't have him for years.
Yeah. The sport lost him.
We like look at how
Yeah.
good that was,
Yeah.
that high point,
Yeah.
and like think about all the years we've lost where he
yeah.
wasn't in the
Yeah.
picture.
He's giving you
Yes.
his
He
personality.
doesn't need to
Yeah,
do
I'm
this.
telling you, people need to understand.
Same with
Yeah,
Ricky.
Yeah.
Do you think Ricky needs to be the commentator of
No, he's
Supercross?
fine. He
Do
can
you
go
think he
chill, man.
needs to deal with all of the fucking bullshit that he
No.
gets? No. He's
Yeah.
rich.
He's the baddest dude to ever ride a race a dirt bike.
so
Yeah.
rich.
He could just literally go the whole podcast like, cool, dude, you earned that.
Hey, Ricky.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, so
He's still the GOAT, bro.
yeah. It's like, bro, what are your accomplishments? Yeah, okay, dude.
Yeah.
What are you talking shit on this dude who's the baddest dude to ever throw a leg over a dirt bike?
And he's
Yeah.
donating his time
Yes,
essentially.
yes.
Like considering the
Yeah.
money, like he
he
obviously
doesn't
gets
need it.
paid,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
that's fucking charity.
Yeah,
Like he's
yeah.
doing charity for
Yeah.
the sport. James,
Oh, because he loves it. He loves motocross, Supercross. Yeah.
and he wants to see it do better.
Yeah, he wants to help
You know,
be a part of it.
And
yeah.
so it's like just everyone, we've seen what happens when you shit on people.
yeah.
Don't shit on people
Yeah,
for
yeah.
no fucking reason.
You don't think like we love it. You don't think like the kids love it. The whole thing, you know. We all love the sport. We all are part of it, right? And I don't. It's like deep down inside, I think we're all pretty close to the same, right? As far as the same, like, and so yeah, I think it's hard to grasp why there's so much negativity in the sport when we're all like the same shit.
Yeah.
We all are on the same page, dude, in the end.
We all literally have a fucking truck with
Yeah.
a
What
ramp
the
and a
fuck?
stand and a dirt bike and
Yeah.
2 tie downs.
Yeah. And at the track, if you needed a T handle, I'd probably give it to you, dude.
Dude,
You know what
for
I'm saying?
sure.
Like, yeah. I'm like, whatever. But you guys have to understand too that every action has a reaction,
Yes.
and the controversy and the shit you guys are doing online with the comments will have a reaction,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And the reaction you're getting is probably not what you want. You're
No.
getting these guys to go, okay, we're not going to give you anymore. You don't get to get our personality anymore. You get nothing.
Yeah.
You know, is that
Well, like people shitting on the Lawrences
Yeah.
for the fan zone.
yeah, I know. That's
What?
yeah. Who cares? Let them
Why?
do it. Yeah, let them freaking. They don't have to come out and hang out
No,
with anyone.
That
Like, yeah,
cost
yeah.
them $1 million.
Yeah, to even do it. Yeah.
Like-
And that's changing the sport, right?
Yes.
Good. Please, you got to do things different to elevate the game. You
They
know? Yeah.
spent $1 million on that.
Yeah, I'm glad they
Had a
tried.
full, like, I don't know if people understand.
Yeah.
I don't know if people think that was just some Feld thing.
Yeah,
Feld
yeah.
gave that to them. No,
Yeah.
they bought it.
Had to buy it from Fly or something.
They
Had-
bought the
yeah,
fucking trailer.
yeah.
They had full-time staff
Yeah.
that, like, for Supercross, they employed people
Yeah,
that
yeah.
drove to the races
Yeah.
and set out the tables, all the
Yeah,
food,
yeah,
all the catering, all the time.
catering, yeah.
And people shit on that.
Yeah.
Why?
You don't have to go. You don't have to buy the ticket.
No.
Yeah. Just go get your ticket and go sit in the stands, bro.
And I was
Yeah.
there pretty much that's where we fucking hung out.
Yeah.
And everyone was pumped.
Yeah.
Everyone was
No,
pumped.
I back it. I think it's cool. All these guys should be making more money, dude.
Yeah.
And if they can be creative and find ways to make more money, good. They're giving you a choice. They're not saying you have to spend this money to be at this race.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
You can go get a ticket and sit in the stands, dude. It's cool. Like,
Yeah. And just don't you don't have to
yeah,
talk
don't worry about what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like as I always tell my neighbors, bro, don't worry about what I'm doing. I ain't worried about what you're doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I ain't at your house yelling at you about your shit. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm cool. Like, don't worry about it. So, yeah. Anyway, that's yeah. I think the best thing we can do is like these guys keep kicking ass, keep breaking records, keep winning races, and be themselves, and just enjoy the ride. And
Yeah.
everyone's in the same family, dude. Everyone's in the same group.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
3.5 hours, mate.
Yeah,
We've crushed some time. I'm sure you got heaps of other shit to do.
Yeah. No, I do. We're gonna, like I said, I'm in town doing a commercial. I'm pretty stoked. It's like a monster commercial, and it's a full '90s theme. So they're like, "Oh, we have to. This is you. Like this is the." And I said, I grew up in a cool era, the '90s era, which I think was the last badass era in this country, probably in the world, to be honest. It's kind of a pre-cell phone. So anyway, mark my words, the '90s era is coming back. It's coming back. I'm telling you, mark my words. The '90s era is not just coming back; it's on its way. And I'm on the ends with the design of action sports clothing and shoes and hats, and '90s come back, dude. The puffy shoes and the hats and the
high-rise jeans.
The high-rise.
And all that shit.
I mean, I think I don't know. I think the shorty shorts are like, yeah, they're here. I don't know how long that's gonna stay, but as far as like the '90s vibe, it's coming back. It might have a twist on it. If you're the guy that's like still wearing the '90s clothes but never changed them, I don't know if you're gonna. That's gonna be the move. But it's. I think the younger kids are gonna be going back for it, dude.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think companies, even like militia, will have a second life, man.
Yeah.
And I just think it's going that way. If we can adapt and evolve to the new trend of
reinvent the
new '90s.
Yeah.
Like when the '70s vibe came back, it wasn't
it wasn't the same thing.
There's a little twist on it.
Yeah.
You just have to be up current with the trends,
Yeah.
And so yeah.
What we didn't even talk about was the two-stroke build.
Yeah, that's right. Two-stroke build, yeah, which I think was a big success, and I think the numbers did well, and everyone was happy. And how many ideas people have and bring to these companies and sponsors, like, oh, I have this idea, I want to build this and do this and that. 99% of the time, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Most people have ideas that never come to fruition. I feel like we pulled it off. We had a good success of the builds and people coming and supporting it, which was cool.
Yeah.
It was very cool that we had so many supporters and the fans and people voting and being a part of it. But yeah, I think it's the start of like, gonna have to do it again, right? Then have to do more, then I get cooler and build off that. I think it was a good concept.
Yeah. Did you enjoy how much did you actually build? Did you do much of the work?
I think as far as I had my mechanic, obviously, that was helping. But as far as like, being the design of the bikes, the colorways, I was on the phone ordering plastic, ordering, parts. And as far as ordering all the stuff, that was the major part in that. I mean, he helped me with a lot of the anodizing and the different color coatings and stuff. Yeah. But as far as the colors, like I picked all the colorways, laid out all the style. I did all the graphics, the graphic design, all that was Singe Graphics. If I could show you my text chain, dude, literally like 100 texts back and nope, add this, take that out, add this. So a lot, I probably spent, I don't know, probably a good solid couple weeks of time on it.
Yeah.
Like straight of just hours, 8-hour days. It was a lot of time. And then, like I said, and then we built the retro bike too, which it was all part of that. Like I thought I got the two bikes from Yamaha. So I'm like, dude, we got to like just do two at once. But, either way, it's, as far as working on the bike, I did like go there to film that day and help put like the engine and the swing arm and some parts on it. But he's a real mechanic, right? Like he did a great job on it. So I feel like that was something, I would like to do again. And I got two badass bikes to ride, Yeah. It's I feel like that was a cool deal for sure.
Yeah, I had so much fun. We did, man, ours was so gnarly.
Yeah.
Like we just had so much going on.
Yeah.
We were living in fucking Airbnbs and we were like moving out of one Airbnb and I had like all the bike apart and then I had to go to another one.
Yeah.
I ended up building the whole thing in one day.
Yeah, that's
I had a mechanic friend of mine, Cole.
Yeah.
And we literally started. I had 2 days. So I did one day where I fully disassembled. I just pulled the entire, like framed the whole thing, right? And then I literally had a tray, like my tray from Motorsport I bought. I fucking tie-downed it into the back of the van because I'd laid all the bolts out. And I'm like, dude, now I got to get this shit. So I just like put the tray, strapped the tray down. But yeah, so I did like 2 days, 1 day of pulling it apart. And then I had 2 days of like doing all the cleaning and like the vapor blast and all that shit. And then I just had like this massive pile of parts. And then we just put the whole bike together in 1 day. The clutch, the GYTR clutch, the flywheel, like everything, dude. It took us like, I think we started at about 11 in the morning and we finished at like 1:30 at night. And I flew to Dubai the next day.
Damn.
Like it was a fucking
grind.
It was a send, bro.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, I better not fuck this up.
Yeah.
Like, because I knew how good yours was gonna be. But I was pumped with the response. Like people were super into it.
Yeah. And I think it's a storyline a lot of people can relate with. A lot of people own 2 strokes, and I think it was a cool storyline. And I think we just got to build off that for the next one. You know, we got to get creative, and I like the crowd participation, and I feel like that's super important part of it. Yeah. You know, so I don't know. I think it's good. I mean, I got fortunate. I like Mackenzie, the mechanic that lived down the street, that he was like super into it.
He was just keen.
Loved it. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, sweet. So that helped a lot. And he has a suspension company called Viva Suspension. So he valved all the suspension. It actually worked really good. Like I went and tested it for a day. It was a little soft and he stiffened, like he tweaked it, and like within 2 days it was dialed. Yeah. I'm like, dude, this stuff works really good. It was like I would race with it and ride it. And I don't know, I was like, that's a cool adventure for me. I don't know. I said, got me out of my comfort zone. Yeah. I'm keen for the next one. Right. When do you reckon we should do it? Game on. Yeah. Shit. When do we got time? No. It'd be more. The best time I have is more in the winter, off season. Yeah. That's when I got a little more time.
Because I got ideas. We've spoke about the ideas.
Yeah. New Year's would be sick to release it and at a big place sick. Where everyone can be a part of it. Maybe it's an open riding area.
We need to do it at A1. Around, not at A1, but around A1.
That. Yeah.
We should try. That would be sick. Yeah. The next one could be, and then like a ballot vote. A1 ballot. At
A1. Yeah.
Dude, how funny would that be?
Yeah. No mail-in ballots, just like only there on site.
Yeah. That'd be sick. All right. Well, thanks for doing this. This was fun. Real fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And you guys have to understand, man, we're just 2 fucked up men that ride dirt bikes, right? This is it's our point of views, man. So,
well, and we're actually, like, I would say at this point, we're actually friends too. Yeah. You know, which is like, I think is cool because we didn't know each other before the first podcast, you know, and over the years of, so this is like, I think people see, I kind of want to get more to this place with the podcast in general, to where it's like, you don't have to come on and just tell your life story in order. It's just like, this is just come and be cool. Yeah. Like we're just talking. We're just mates that are having a chat.
Yeah. Guys talk. And like really this podcast, like nothing of it, we were like, hey, let's cover this. Let's cover that. Hey, I'm in town. I have a day off. They canceled like today's like shoot for like some scene we had to do. So I'm like, I got some time today. Tomorrow I'll be fully busy all day till about 3 or 4 in the morning. Shooting in downtown LA, but
which would be fun.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I'm stoked to get to do it. Like I said, told Monster, thanks for including me. Like I'm stoked on it. You know how much do you appreciate when someone says, "Hey, thanks," for something? It's very rare nowadays. Yeah, you know, and that's something I tell my kids. Like, you understand how hard people will work. Yeah, what's that say? I'll run a mile for something for a compliment, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a phrase to that. Like I'll just like basically do anything for a compliment, right? Yeah. It motivates people a lot to show appreciation. But anyhow, nothing of this was planned. Like it was like, hey, let's just be 2 guys sitting talking shit. Yeah. And I think that's the best, right? Like we don't have any agenda. Yeah. We're just,
we're just trying to figure it out.
Just talking crap, having fun. So.
Just trying to figure it out. Well, thanks, man. Cool, thanks. I appreciate you.
Yeah, right on. See ya.
See you on the next one.
Later.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.